This is the D6 generation with your hosts, Craig Gallant.
Wrong! If you're getting any compensation, it's not charity!
Russ Wakeland. Did you put me on a boat with frickin' dragons attacking me and whatnot? Now we're talking. And Rafe, Hollywood Granger.
Now that's Jimmy Django right there.
With contributions from Total Fangirl.
Vampires do not sparkle.
And our loyal listener.
The D6 generation, like getting night vision glasses on safari, so you're not in the dark when big game hunting.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at you with the speed of a reasoned argument amongst 55 demigods of a new era, calmly discussing how to formalize a great new nation. Today's edition is brought to you by a Dan who wants you to know if you think there's a better pair of sons than Jake and Spencer, you are wrong! I'm Keekly McNerdigan, your host. Today, as always, our panelists are Russ, John Witherspoon Wakeland, and Rafe Button Gwinnett Granger. Let's begin. Issue number 1. Reincarnation is believed to occur when the soul or spirit, after the death of the body, comes back to Earth in a newborn body. This phenomenon is also known as transmigration of the soul, a highfalutin sounding term when applied to video and console games, though. Still, God knows how long it would take you to get through those games without the ability to earn an extra life or two.
Ding.
Question. Although connected most often with Eastern religions, what offshoot of Christianity, founded in the Languedoc region of France in the 11th century, added the concept of reincarnation, among other things, to the basic Christian tenets? Kurt Gödel Granger.
Budo Shinto Christianity.
Carol Werner Wakeland.
France, we're going to go Lutheran, but I don't know.
Wrong! Seriously, you provincials? Have you never heard of the Cathars before? Disgraceful. Issue number 2. In 1787, a group of men from almost all over the new colonies came together in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to discuss the problems in ruling the new United States, which had been running under the Articles of Confederation since the end of British rule. Although the Constitutional Convention was supposedly meant only to revise the Articles of Confederation, the intention from the outset of many of its proponents was to create a new government rather than fix the existing one. The result of the convention was the United States Constitution. Question. Due to the divisive politics and anger prevalent at the time, what single colony did not send delegates to the Constitutional Convention? George Wythe Wakeland.
Georgia?
Nate Gorman Granger.
Rhode Island.
Oh my God! Granger is correct! Yes! Rhode Island, because under the Articles of Confederation, any changes had to be ratified by all 13 colonies, thus giving any colony its veto, and the national government was too weak to deal with trouble between the states. And thus, in that environment, Rhode Island had decided to impose an arbitrary tax on all goods carried over their post road, which include every good sold in the colonies. Who wouldn't want to give up a sweet deal like that?
Well.
Issue number 3. Debate or debating is a formal method of interactive and representational argument. Whether you're talking Lincoln versus Douglas, Kennedy versus Nixon, or Copplestone versus Russell, history is replete with these incidents of intellectual giants clashing on ideological and philosophical grounds, changing the course of history as we know it. Question. Pirates or ninjas? Maggie Thatcher Russ.
Pirates.
Arrgh. Janet Reno Rafe.
The great debate of Granger versus Russ on Going Live.
Pirates or ninjas? Rebuttal!
I stumped him.
Bobby Shapiro Russ.
Pirates.
Tom Ridge Rafe.
Ninjas.
Pathetic. Pirates, hands down, no question. Issue number 4. Anger is a feeling related to one's perception of having been offended or wronged and a tendency to undo that wrongdoing by retaliation. This often locks us into a cycle of anger and violence, much as Yoda warns us of. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Modern research actually physically ties the part of the brain that experiences fear with that which experiences anger. Question. What is the fear, then, that causes people's anger during a friendly game? General Riken Rafe.
That I'm going to lose horribly.
Dash Rendar Russ.
Being manipulated.
Wrong! That soul-chilling, mind-bending, heart-stopping fear that causes yelling, dice-throwing, and model-destroying is caused by the spiritual connection of the gamer with the hidden reality of the universe that games are real, and that our lives are dependent upon them. If you knew this Matrix-like truth, you'd get mad too. And that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
The D6 Generation Podcast. All of the mysteries of gamer culture revealed. The D6 Generation. Born to game.
Hello!
Hello.
Yo, what's
and
up?
welcome to episode 65
65. Sounds very professional.
of the D6 Generation. I'm Russ Wakeland.
I'm Craig Gallant.
And I'm Rafe Hollywood Granger. Craig,
Yes.
65 when you get Medicaid or something, or Medicare?
I believe it is also the mandatory retirement age in some countries
Oh, okay.
and some professions.
Just saying that because we're old now.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Getting there.
That's pretty much the next big one. 40 and then 65.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We just skip right over 50.
So anyway, Russ, what are we doing today?
Well, on today's show, we're going to interview our friend Dan from Myriad Games.
Dan the man from Yarentan.
And they've got a lot going on over there.
It's a busy
And
time.
so we want to talk to them about all kinds of the big events and some charity stuff they're doing and that we're involved with. We're very excited about that.
More on that in a bit.
More on that soon. But also we're going to talk about some recent hotness, a game called Founding Fathers.
You're sure it's not First Fathers?
No,
No,
it's not Forefathers.
Forefathers.
It's Founding Fathers.
Really?
Based on the Constitutional Convention.
Uh-huh.
So that should be an interesting review of that
does
game as
not
well.
sound like an interesting game.
It is a very interesting game, and we'll talk about more in a bit.
Excellent.
I can't wait, too, because it's a Euro-style game that Wakeland's actually playing.
Right,
Wow.
right.
I'm intrigued.
It is. It's probably the irony here is it's probably the most Euro game we've ever reviewed.
Really?
And yet
Yes.
its theme is American.
Uh-huh.
Irony.
Irony right there.
All right. So
And I
before we
think
can,
when it's
Isn't it
explained,
ironic?
It sounds like the most boring game ever reviewed, but it's not. It's fun.
right. Before we can do all that, though, we have to thank our sponsors. Who should we thank first? Craig.
Let's thank first Myriad Games, supporting the D6 Generation on behalf of friendly professional gaming stores everywhere. Myriad Games, so many games, so little time.
Right. And
We said, he's got some big stuff
much
coming
more
up.
about Myriad Games and Dan soon.
That's right.
Right. Who else should we thank? Rafe.
We should thank our friend Romeo over there at battlefoam.com. Nice
That was a
hard
gun.
shells, hard-shelled miniature carrying cases with good custom foam and little tidbit
Best
out
in the
there.
industry.
Yes, all you servicemen and women, Romeo wants to let you know you get, I want to say it's 15%. Don't quote me. Could be 10. Pretty sure it's 15.
Some number.
off any order.
Go someplace where you really trust them for information, and you'll find out. Clearly,
Like his
this
webpage.
is not there.
Rafe, what code, did they put a code in for that? Or how do they let them know?
No. Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
Or
if
is
they
it
just
based
said,
on a
"Hey,
military APO?
Rafe heard a rumor
Right.
down at the bar the other night.
It's
I
probably
heard
based
it from the
on
man himself. He's
There-
just overseas right now, so
Right.
now I can't remember.
Oh,
what he
that's
told
right. He's in England. He's in Blighty.
Right. Who else should we thank? Well, we should also thank Lone Wolf Development, makers of fine software to support your favorite games,
Makers
including.
and purveyors.
That's right. Army Builder for making great lists for your favorite miniature war games.
Card Vault for all of your collectible gaming needs.
Ooh, I want to do the next one.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Hero Lab. Because I made a Wrath from my play-by podcast.
Oh, nice.
Made a 5th level Ranger, dual-wielding Ranger. Takes 8 seconds.
Wow.
8 seconds. Wow, that's pretty
Flat.
impressive.
8 seconds
It's
flat.
So awesome.
So you go from 0 character to an 8th level character in 0 seconds.
Yeah,
8
it was
seconds
that
flat.
fast. Everything's there. It's dropped down.
fifth level
They
item.
don't have the D&D essentials yet, but I think they're going to get those soon.
Excellent.
All right. We should also thank, of course, Craig. Who else should we thank?
The War Store, bringing the war to your door since 1999, or since for a decade or more.
Nice.
And remember the War Store weekend, which seems to be just getting bigger and bigger with each passing day.
Yes, getting very close.
Yeah.
You heard about that on the last episode.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. Get registered for that if you want to go. It's a huge con going on right down there in the New York, New Jersey area.
Secaucus.
I wish we could go.
The
Yeah, so do
warstoreweekend.com.
I.
Check it out.
And who else, Russ?
We should also, of course, thank our friend Navin and all the good folks at paintedfigs.com.
PaintedFigs.com.
Painting your army so you don't have to. You ever have those centerpiece models you want to finish yourself, but you got to paint 30 guys, get out of the way. Ship it off to Sri Lanka. They'll take care of it
30
for
guys. Somebody's been playing some skirmish games.
you. So yes, that's good stuff. And so that's Painted Figs. And remember, there's a lot of new changes over there, so check their website out for all the new hotness there.
And Rafe, why don't you tell us what else can listeners do who want to be a part of the show, but they don't have a business? Or maybe they do have a business, but they're not sponsors yet.
That's just what I was about to say.
Or maybe they aren't
like
going to be sponsors,
Scorbo.
but yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, they can go to ebay.the d6generation.com, right, Russ? Is that the right URL?
That's correct.
And they can bid on our auctions. The trick with that is it has to be timed right. Usually the auctions go up about, the day after they hear it?
Yes. Usually they go up the weekend after the show, unless I screwed up like last weekend, in which case they run the Monday after the show goes.
All right. And then you bid. And the reason why we love
I know,
them
it's
is you
getting slow.
guys set the price.
Yeah.
That's
the
right.
cool part.
That's right. You set the price, so if it's a slow week, you get a cheap shout out, and if it's a busy week, well, you get what the market will bear.
Yep.
That's right.
And that reminds me, one of our shout out winners. I know Russ wants to talk about the donate button, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Right.
Tell
The
them
donate,
the donate button.
well, let's say you don't want to be bothered with shout outs and all that craziness. You just want to, leave us a little tip.
Just
a little,
throw us like a 10 or a 5
or even just $1,
100,
say a
or,
job well done. Head on over to the website, click the donate button on the right-hand side, and you can easily donate a little bit of money to help us, to let us know you appreciate what we're doing, and keep the lights on. So that's great, too. And now also occasionally, to thank you guys for thanking us, we often have contests, except not right now. Right now we are between contests. We do have a big prize bucket over there, Craig. You want to take a look on the big prize bucket? See that thing over there? Those are all things we have to give away.
Wow.
Look at the prize tub. It's like a tub of prizes. There's like a hardcover book on there. What's that one, Craig, at the bottom there?
That would be Rogue Trader Into the Storm, the campaign scenario.
Right. What's right above that?
Sabat Worlds, which I'm reading right now, which is awesome.
I know. See what that white envelope is up there?
What is that white envelope?
That white envelope is sprues, still on the sprue, never been cut off, Terminators from the Space Hulk board game.
There's a prize.
And there is a special box over there of never before opened Troll Bloods, and I think that's
Kings of War Undead Ghouls.
from Mantech. Look at that. Look at all these things we got to give away.
Whoa. I get the Mantic stuff.
Nope, too late. It's in the prize tub. So we got to do some contests here. So we're gonna be giving those away soon.
Magic
I got
the
something for our
Gathering.
Now, the reason we're not giving anything away right now is some of these prizes will be going to the special event for charity happening up at Dan soon.
Yes.
So-
do we want to talk about our part in that now?
Sure, let's talk about that in lieu of a
I
contest.
got something first.
Yes.
Wait. Don't tell me. Right here, right now, free Scormo code. RRLXRWFJARW9.
Way to go. You just sent 10 different cars across the world careening to the side of the road.
Drive safely.
All right,
No
so go
texting
to,
pretty
go
soon.
to,
in
go to
the US.
iTunes, put that code in, right? You get a free copy of ScoMo. Mosco? Scormo? Scormo game? Whatever it is.
Scormo.
Thank you. Scormo.
An odd
So,
name.
instead of a contest this week, we want to talk a little bit about a very special thing we'll be doing, and we're going to be talking about more
We are
in a little
doing
bit. And it is called Extra Life. So, Craig, why don't you talk a little bit about Extra Life?
Extra Life is an awesome charity event that's being thrown by Sarcastic Gamer
SarcasticGamer.com, yep.
and a federation or confederation of children's hospitals around the world. And basically, it's supposed to be it's an annual event, and this is the third or fourth year.
I think it's the third. It started 2008, so
Okay.
it's the third year. Yeah.
So third year that it's taken place, and it's basically a 24-hour marathon of gaming. And until now, it's been video, console, and phone gaming.
Right. Any kind of video game, basically.
Any kind of video kind of game. But Dan at Myriad Games has seized it with his teeth, and he's made it his own, and he's brought us all in on Team Game Salute. And we're going to be playing board games, war games, card games, and what have you on the 16th of October for 24 hours straight.
Right.
And so the way this is going to help the children's hospitals, well, everybody can help children's hospitals around the world.
Right.
We have chosen Boston's Children's Hospital because Russ has a very poignant connection to it. I have a very poignant connection to it, not as poignant as Russ's. So it has a very special place in the hearts of many families in New England. And so we're going to raise money. And the greatest thing, I think, and the thing that's getting the most response from the people I'm talking to, is that Extra Life, 100% of the money you donate, because all of the electronic website, everything, all that work has been donated also. So there's no overhead at all.
Right.
It all goes immediately to the hospital that you choose. And the hospital has pledged 100% of the money will go immediately to the care and treatment of children.
Right.
So there is absolutely no middlemen. There's none of your money is going to get slowly worn away, and 1 penny out of every dollar will help a kid. This is 100% of the money that you donate will go to the children. For us, will be going to the Boston's Children's Hospital.
Right.
And Russ, why don't you expand on that?
Well, there's definitely 2 ways you can help as a gamer or just a fan of the show or whatever. First of all, each person that signs up for Extra Life, so Craig and myself and all the other people, and I believe they just broke 2,000 gamers.
They did.
Worldwide who have signed up to play an Extra Life for this one day. And how it works is it's like a walkathon. So if you're playing an Extra Life, you seek to get people to sponsor you for some amount of money per hour you're going to play, and we're all committed to playing 24 hours. So if you pledge $1 per hour, then you're basically saying you're going to donate $24 to Extra Life on behalf in supporting either Craig or myself or whichever gamer you choose to support. Now, if you want to be a gamer in on the action, you can actually go to sarcasticgamer.com, click their Extra Life link, and sign up yourself on Extra Life as well. And if you do that, then you can also seek people to donate you, and it gives you a special page. You can send your friends and family and everybody else to that page to get hooked up and get people to donate to you. And also, what's nice about doing it yourself is you can pick the hospital nearest you to make sure the money goes where you. And there's hospitals all over the world.
That's cool.
These are places that, just so you understand, these are places where kids, the most critically ill kids get taken to be made well. And I have a special story. My youngest daughter, Kid, has chronic asthma, and one spring she got really bad, and they sent us down to Children's Hospital. And it was very scary because any parent who knows about asthma knows that there's certain treatments they can immediately do and usually have responses, and she was responding to nothing. So we got her down there, and they got her in there, and it took a week, and they made her better. But the thing that most touched me being down there wasn't the amazing care and the amazing staff, which there was, but they put us in a special floor with all these young kids who were sick, and Kid had her own little room, which was nice, but there's these other rooms with these other kids in them, and they had birthday wishes for years on their wall, and they had Happy Christmas and Happy Halloween on their wall. These are places where these poor kids live. And that just really touched me, because the hardest thing as a parent you could ever do is to sit there by your bed and watch your child be sick and try to make them better and know there's nothing you can really do yourself. And so these are people that work day in, day out to make these kids better. Yep. And I can think of no better way to donate my time and my money to help this kind of stuff. And so if you've got a special story in a hospital near you, then sign up for Extra Life and get just a little bit of money. Every little bit helps to the hospital near you. Or if you can't commit that much time, but you just want to sponsor someone, pick a gamer, pick Craig, pick myself. Nicole's on there. I think Rafe's going to jump on there too if he's got time. And get in there if you can. And if you can't, pick another gamer. We don't really care. As long as you're involved, that'd be awesome.
And it's really easy to find us. Just Google Extra Life, go to the web page, and right at the top you're going to see Find a Gamer. All you got to do is put in our name. So Craig Gallant, Russ Wakeland, Nicole Wakeland. Rafe, are you going to be able to do it? I don't think we discussed that yet.
Well, that was one of my questions. So what if you do You're in My Boat? And I know Dan's merging this with another thing, so I think he's even opening the store. Beginning is the official one is just what you said. It's the 16th, but I'm pretty sure he's starting it at the 15th because
his event.
That.
I think his event runs that whole weekend.
Yeah, his event spans the entire weekend. We'll talk more about that with Dan later.
So I'm going to be able to make it there for the 15th. But what if you're a gamer in my boat who's I don't think I can game for 24 hours?
Well, that's an excellent question,
That is an excellent
Rafe.
question.
Thank you.
The way Sarcastic Gamer puts it is this is an inclusive event. And so all of the rules are built to help people do it, not to exclude people from doing it. So if you can't do 24 hours straight, then you do what you can when you can. And there's alternative days. The next Saturday is another alternative day. But basically what you're pledging is more the intent than anything else.
Okay.
So it's not a question.
Yeah, so I was waiting to sign up because I didn't want to be one of those people who knows I can't do it.
Well, firstly, there's not the Sarcastic Gamer police aren't going to come and make sure you gamed.
No, but
it's the spirit of it. But at the same time, what they're saying is to keep the spirit of it, then just log your gaming on your own and make sure you get 24 hours in.
So maybe it's 6 hours on Friday, 6 hours on Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday, and 6 hours on Monday, or whatever it is. Work it out to make it to your schedule. Get it in there. There's an official makeup day also the following Saturday. Part of the fun, if you're a video gamer, get online. There's going to be thousands of people on Xbox Live at the same time, all doing this.
It's a neat idea. I like it.
So if you want to get in, go for it.
Great idea.
I want to check too, because I think my niece had to go to the Children's Hospital in Boston. Not as serious, but it was a technical procedure. And I could have sworn I saw like a doctor walking around with one of those like monkey puppets.
Yeah.
Like, don't they also really? It's not just colorful
They live in
scrubs. It's like really catered to kids.
The hospital, the
right?
Children's Boston, and there are other hospitals like this around the world, is an amazing place for kids. And it's interesting because on the way in, of course, you're totally blind to just whatever you're seeing. You're worried about your kid. But on the way out, that's where you see the magic of the place. Because you see the kids smile, and there's these little sculptures the kids will play with, and when those things, the balls move through. Right. All that stuff's there. But on the way in, you don't see it. But on the way out, you do it. And just to know that a little bit of help can make more kids be able to walk out happy is what it's all about. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's 100%. That's the thing that keeps blowing me away is 100% of that money goes to those kids. It's none of it's going to anything administrative.
Right.
So, it's a really, really great opportunity.
So we're happy to be involved, and we want to thank again the guys at Sarcastic Gamer. They work really hard at this. This is their passion, and it's an amazing thing they've done. Many, many websites that you've probably heard of all work with it. IGN, Gutaku, all those places are involved with this.
And
so
we want to thank Dan. Well, I was going to say we got to thank Dan for bringing it in locally.
For the idea of bringing it beyond video games and to get us board gamers. Let's show them
and the board gamers and to combine it with his own event and
now to make it fun.
Baby, so he's certainly busy.
One more thing to do which is kind of neat about this is to make it fun and competitive. If you go to this website, you can see what each of us has raised. If you search for Craig and search for me, but we also are on the team for
Game Salute.
Game Salute. And you'll see the total amount of money that everybody who registered for Game Salute has raised. Now, the Game Salute's the only real team I think I know of that's really dedicated to board games and RPGs and stuff. The rest of them are all basically video games, which is fine, which is awesome. But if we want to kind of show, hey, board gamers have a heart too, sign up for Game Salute and let them know. And if that team makes a lot of money, they'll say, hey, these guys are serious about it too. Maybe they'll break it out. More kinds of gamers will
Your hospital is still chosen by you. There's not a Game Salute hospital. So you guys in Dublin could totally do it. There's at least one Dublin Children's Hospital that I looked at. There are London Children's Hospitals, Australia.
Right, so
they're
I'm
all over the world.
Bit. So I'm ready to sign up as Rafe as a gamer. I was waiting till this conversation. I go to gamesalute.com and I look for Rafe, or do I look for the D6G team?
Well, you go to the link that Russ sent us both. Right. Anybody else, I think your best bet is to go Google Extra Life.
Yeah.
Or go to
sarcasticgamer.com.
Sarcastic Gamer, but Googling Extra Life to me is easy.
Right.
But that's
either of those things get you there. And it's very simple to follow those instructions.
Yes. I managed not to be able to do it for a day, but it is actually very simple.
Right.
Okay.
And it's going to say right there.
Go to the Sarcastic Gamer website,
and
then they look for Team Game Salute.
Don't worry about teams. No. Just work for Extra Life, and get involved. That's all you got to do.
It'll lead them through literally step by step.
Yeah, step by step.
And then once you've done it and you have a profile, you're going to have a little menu that's for all of your stuff. And one part of that menu will say find a team or join a team. Right. That's when you go and it'll say, do you want to find a team or start a team? And you just say Game Salute and Game Salute will pop
you're
up.
in. Right.
All right. And aren't Cody and John coming out too?
Cody and John are already signed up.
From Game On are already
involved,
also.
And they're coming out for the day too. Cool. We'll talk more about that when Dan gets here. But the awesome thing is Dan is running a store. There's going to be all kinds of events, and Dan will talk more about the kind of things there. So if you want to have that involvement, and you're not on Xbox and don't have the worldwide community there, Dan's going to make a little community for us here in New Hampshire.
Absolutely. So. And that's, if you're within the sound of our voice. Yep. And you're close to southern New Hampshire, that's where you're going to find at least Russ and I
and Nicole
on from 8 a.m. on the 16th to 8 a.m. on the 17th.
We may not be able to be solid because of our kids, but we'll be there in and out.
I will be there the whole time because Karen told me that I could.
Nice.
Score.
She's all excited that I'm doing charity
Hey, it's good work. Yeah. Okay, so any more questions about that, Rafe? Or are you good?
Nope. I'm good.
All right.
And, I do have a quick correction because La Quinta Inns and Suites La Quinta. The 10% off code is actually the D6. There's no G.
Oh.
It's all one THED6, all lowercase.
That's a party foul. We got to get that fixed.
You can. Well, I think it's. It has to be exactly 5 letters. I don't know.
Okay.
But
all right.
So anyway, so thanks to them, and go ahead and check that out. That's all we got for
So what's the time now for, Craig?
Achievements in Gaming.
Nice. And whose Achievements in Gaming brought to us by this week? Rafe.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to sign up for Extra Life.
All right, I'll do it. Achievements in Gaming is brought to you by Rick from Joondalup in Perth, Western Australia. And we'd like to give a shout-out to his newly formed Thursday night gaming group. G'day to Harry, Paul, Selby, and Vic. And don't worry, I'll find the instructions to Space Alert this week. They're around here somewhere. All right.
Great shout out.
And so
I do love those. Those are just awesome.
What have we been playing lately, Rafe?
Oh, let's see. I've been playing Latro. That's been a lot of fun. But by the way, I'm making pies right now because I raid on Wednesday nights. So I am making pies.
I got to fix that.
And I played...
Other.
It's not. No, because our City of Heroes friends say it's not other.
No, it is other. They say, please don't make them cry by us making fun of you and giving you a negative achievement for it. It's still other.
I played Catacomb with adults.
Oh, what do you think? How'd it go?
With the Flick game. It was okay. I mean, it was fun. We had some good laughs.
What adults were they?
What's that, Craig?
What adults were they? Were that random adults you
No.
pulled in off the
It was
street?
Brian, Dave, Matt, and me.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't. I don't know. I thought it'd be more fun, but it wasn't.
And you had you ever played it before?
Yeah, I
Heroes.
played it with the kids though.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I wanted to know what the game would play like again, with like people really trying to kill the bad guy and
Gotcha.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, I know what made it less fun. And I think Russ, have you heard this? I guess people on Board Game Geek say it's way too slated towards the monster player. I was the monster player. There's like literally like no way to win.
Really?
Wow,
I didn't find that. Yeah, I didn't find that at all. We played with adults, and we had the heroes win.
The heroes did win.
Yeah.
It was always close, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what the
Okay, I
problem
guess
is.
it's
I
slated
never
towards
really
that.
understand much of what's going on in Board Game Geek.
It's a conundrum. It is. I'm not gonna lie.
Never really understand.
We'll give him an achievement for effort. All right.
What else?
God.
For running the world's largest database of games. I mean, they got to get something for that. I'll give him another one.
Yeah.
Oh no, they all the credit in the world. It's just sometimes the opinions that seem prevalent over there I don't get.
Yes. Well, the
But anyway,
masses.
moving on.
The masses are the masses.
Yeah. I also got the card game Pooh.
Now, how did you get poo?
It was a review copy from Catalyst Games.
I see.
Really? Now, didn't we tell you last time this happened that if somebody offers you poo, you don't take it?
Right. Even if it's free.
Yes. And I did.
How was the free poo?
I got some free poo. It's definitely just a kid's game.
What
Right.
is the theme? Is it really poo?
I'm going to get in. I mean, we could do a review of it right now. You're a monkey in a cage.
Oh, that's
and,
right.
You're a monkey at the zoo. You've had a hard day at the zoo. And the goal is to fling 15 poo on your opposing monkeys.
Okay.
So the game supports, it's big. It's like, I think, 2 to 8 players or 2 to 6
So
players.
it's a party game, sort of.
It's a
About
party
poo.
game, but it's for kids. Lou
Right.
thought it was hilarious.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, my
There's
daughters.
your
I could see
target
my
market right
my
there.
daughters being all about this.
Rose, Kit, and Lou, if they were
Yeah.
playing this,
Yeah.
they would
I
go
could see much giggling.
literally
Yeah.
bananas.
Yeah, I could see
the card art
Ooh,
is
nice thematic
phenomenal.
link.
Literally, though. Yes.
Bananas.
They would. The game is colorful. It's quick. It's fast. So what you have is you have your monkey. He's not a card or a miniature or anything. He's just you. And then I get a card. It'll say fling 3 poo, and I can choose Craig. And I put my card down, and he might have a card that says block, and it's a big banana leaf. And then the
No, wait.
the
It
poo
doesn't
block.
come. It doesn't come with a miniature monkey.
No, I wish it did. That'd be
Well,
cool.
haven't you always wanted a monkey?
I did.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
My bad.
from an earlier when we weren't recording.
That would have been funny.
All right.
Nobody's wanted a monkey.
All right.
Yes, I've always wanted a monkey.
Is that poo? So basically, you fling poo.
So card art's cool. You know how when we played that Candyland game, Smirk and Dagger game?
Yeah.
And I was bored out of my mind
Yeah.
because I don't like nonsensical games.
Right.
And so I was...
Whoa. You don't like some nonsense.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Correct.
Mr.
Correct.
Killer Bunnies.
Yeah. Oh
Correct.
my God.
I do like Killer Bunnies.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But no,
sensible.
it's cool. I mean, I would recommend it to any parent with any kid who's
Likes poo.
Poo jokes.
not like me who wants to play dumbed down version of
Potty humor. All right, Rafe. Quick miniature rating. What would you rate poo?
4+.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll give you my rating of desire to play poo. 6+.
How about Rose's
With a
desire?
reroll.
With
if
a
it
negative
rolls a
reroll,
6.
inverted reroll. Right. What's that?
How about Rose's desire to play poo?
I just don't think I can condone potty humor. I think I have to draw the line somewhere.
Well, they put that on there, by the way, in the
Yeah.
game. They're like, it's
Yeah.
very colorful and clean, and it
Yeah.
is somehow. I can't explain how
It's
they
about
did it, but
animals
they pulled it off.
Flinging
All right.
feces.
Okay, look. I guess I get that kids violent in video games don't get kids to be violent, so maybe games about flinging poo doesn't get
Yeah, I
kids
don't
want
think
to
this is
fling
going
poo.
to cause your kids to fling
I don't
poo
know.
in real life.
I don't know.
No.
How do you know these
doesn't feel
things?
gross. It doesn't feel icky. It's just
But I just don't
cartoony.
like
It's
the
just-
theme.
It's somehow funny.
So it's all like nice and dried and firm.
yeah.
Okay.
I should hold up a piece.
Wow. Okay.
It's like
Anyway.
it's like throwing cow chips. You want to make sure they're been around a little while.
Play anything else that doesn't belong in other, Rafe?
You know what I reminded me of too is Hex because there's all sorts of stuff where you can.
Oh, see,
clues
no, you
that are-
can't.
Oh, now
you
you're
can't-
just trying to
No,
legitimize.
you can't bring Hex in with poo. Come on.
It
That's
reminded
just
me of
not-
your
You just-
review.
now
I
you just-
didn't get to play Hex.
Now you're just
I
lowering.
offered you the game.
Now you're just lowering it
Craig
for
was
us all.
hoarding it.
Hoarding
my.
the game, yes.
Oh dear. All right, well, Craig, what have you been playing?
Are you calling me out on
hey, I've got one more.
on air?
All
Is
right.
that what you're doing?
No, Craig was nice. He was willing to loan me his own.
All right, what else you got, Rafe?
D&D Essentials.
I'll give you an achievement for rating poo.
D&D Essentials.
Yes.
I actually played a little mini adventure
Okay,
with.
bring me up to speed because I've been playing D&D 4 and I'm not up to speed on Essentials. So what's the scoop with Essentials?
Oh, okay, yeah, good point. D&D Essentials it's a new book size, so it's like I can't even think of it, but
Portable?
It's like, it doesn't match what it would be. They shrunk the book down into a little paperback. They didn't exactly get rid of fluff. That's the wrong thing to say, but it's some people are calling it D&D 4 2.0.
Okay.
So they've
Has
apparently
anything
there was a
changed
lot
in
of-
it?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They changed a lot of things. Not the mechanics of how it works, but they got rid of a lot of the options between the at-will powers, the daily powers, the utility powers. So you still have at-will, daily, and utility. But let me give you an example. When you make a fighter under the new way, you get to pick 2 out of 6 stances, and that's one of your powers. And so if you're in duelist stance, you might get +4 to damage. I'm making it up. That's not what duelist stance is. Okay? And then there's no 15 daily at-will powers to pick. None. Your level 1 ability is then called Power Strike. That's it. That's what you get. And then at level 2, you'll get this utility power. That's it. Not choices of 8.
Oh, I don't know if I
to
like
choose
that.
from.
That sounds like they're
Dumbing it down.
One of the original, dumbing it down. It sounds like they're dumbing it down even more. I don't like that.
Yes, they're simplifying it and trying to go back
Now-
to where I guess
Go
some people
back.
were
It never was
griping.
simple. D&D's
Well-
more simple now than it ever has been. I'm not saying it's bad necessarily. I'm just saying it's different.
It's supposed to go along. You know how the new red box has been
Yes.
released.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
matches the new red box.
Okay.
So it's a way to get new. You buy the red box, you buy D&D Essentials, and you buy the Compendium, and it's supposed to be a little bit more user friendly getting in.
Does that tell
Does that
fine?
swing a lot?
Jinx probably could. So
The Compendulum, does that swing a lot?
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
swinger.
It swings on
Swing.
the easier side of life.
And
So-
now, do you put that with the pit?
Now, how does
Pit
this?
in the Compendulum?
Oh God!
I want to.
Where's
push
my
you into
negative
the
achievement button?
pit.
So let me ask you this.
Touche, Rafe. Touche.
Let me ask you this: does this supersede the hardcover books? Is it sort of a parallel choice? How do
Parallel
they?
choice.
So this doesn't replace the hardcovers. You can either choose to play 4E or
Yes.
4E Essentials.
Or Essentials. And what I don't know enough.
Are they
you know,
compatible? Does the Monster Manual work with the 4E Essentials, or do you need the Essentials
I
Monster Manual?
I'm getting a lot of my information about this from Andy at Myriad, who's heard a lot of podcasts on this and read a lot of blogs. He did say that I can make a D&D 4 Essentials character fighter, and you can make a wizard, and we can play together. But I don't know. Maybe the role-playing community is like, oh, that's crap. I don't know.
Well, it does make sense if you just change the powers you have and give you some bonus abilities. That's just like another class, really. Think about
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of how I look.
Are the names slightly different, or is it still called Wizard, or is there like an Essentials
here's an
variant
example.
flavor?
In the Essentials book, you only can build a wizard, a rogue, a fighter, and a cleric. That's it. And then there's going to be another one later that lets you build more characters.
Not even a warlock. Well, it really is dumbed down. I mean, not dumbed
Yeah.
down. It's
I don't think dumb.
that's
down.
that's the wrong phrase because I like 4E. I know people confuse.
Streamlined.
Yeah, streamline's the positive spin.
Streamlined.
positive
To be
side.
honest, here's why I like it. I don't really care about all those 18 different at-will powers I can choose, or 8.
See, I like those because it
It
makes
is
you
a
feel
little
like you
too
could
many.
do stuff.
It's too choice heavy for me.
No, but in version, but the old D&D, it was always like, okay, you're a wizard, you're level 1, you got 2 choices: light and magic missile, and then you're done, and you can use your sling. Right now, it's like you got all kinds of
I always
choices.
took a dagger.
I can use
It's going back to
fireball.
that.
I can do magic missile. I can, I can shift. I can. Well, that's well, I guess you
It's
can still
going
shift.
back to that, but with the 4E slight twist to it.
Yeah, see, it
So
feels.
you automatically get magic missile, but
Yeah.
then you can pick from your evocation school. You can pick from your illusion school. It's pretty
I
cool.
don't know. The stances feel even more MMO-y to me because that's how Warhammer Online works.
Oh yeah, it's very MMO-y.
So yeah. All right.
It's a
Anyway,
weird option. A
But
weird,
all right.
weird
I actually
design
played
choice.
it. I didn't just read the book. I played a session with Lou. We encountered a dwarf at a caravan who lost Bessie, his mule.
okay.
And he loved it.
That's good. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's
He didn't go try to kill the dwarf.
last time he was trying to
No.
kill
Last
people.
time he chased down the character you gave him.
Craig, this flummoxes me. I don't understand how a 10-year-old, 9-year-old brain works.
Yeah.
Okay. This is clear to any role player. Okay, these two goblins jump them, and he literally tackles one goblin. He sits on him, and he gets the goblin to talk. Okay, everything's great.
okay.
The goblin says he saw Bessie up by the cave mouth. Okay, and the dwarf's like, "Oh, Bessie, I need Bessie to take my caravan back to town." Lou says, "Well, can I just go back to town and get help?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea, but your town's ride is a day away." And the dwarf tells you he can't live that long. The goblins will attack. He's like, I'm going to go back to town. I'm like,
Wow, clearly he
Okay.
does not care for the life of a dwarf.
Time for a new
No.
quest.
and when the dwarf was yelling at him, he's like, "Where are you going? You're leaving me in the lurch." He told him, "Shut up, dwarf."
Nice. Nice.
So
Okay.
I guess we'll
Okay.
go back and find the poor dwarf's carcass.
Wow.
So,
Lou still
that's
got
my
that
story.
Lou still got that
So I'm
little-
just going to throw this out there. I just took a big seminar in bullying, and I learned the importance of supervised play, Rafe. You might want to think about that.
Well, I'm
That's
there.
where kids learn, manners and not leaving dwarfs to die and
Well,
things like that.
No,
I
Craig-
have to wait for it to happen to teach it.
Craig, I've noticed you don't have anything in games played here. Have you been playing any games lately?
No, I have not.
Well, okay, we'll skip right along then. I've been playing some games. I've been playing a lot of D&D 4E. I'll take a tune for that. Full version, not the essentials. This is with my brother John and our friends we talked about last time. And this is with Fantasy Grounds 2. Get a lot of tweets about what is the system. It's Fantasy Grounds 2. Google it. You'll find it. We did switch over from Ventrilo to Skype, and that is much better. Vent is talking like on a CB. So when you talk on Vent, right, it cuts even it out. So, and the other thing with Vent that was weird was happening was we were getting weird lag. Like I'd hear John say, "That's a +3," and then I'd hear Pete say, "What's my bonus?" in that order. I'd be like, and they're like, and then Joe's like, "No, it's not Vent. We've been using Vent for a year. It's this awesome. It's you, Russ. It's on your side." I'm like, "How can it be on my side? It's coming through the speakers." So anyway, we switched over to Skype. It was awesome because I had up the D6G setup on it. I had all the sound effects going.
nice.
So it'd be like, every D&D campaign you're playing along, and one guy quotes Monty Python, and then another guy quotes Army of Darkness. Well, it was like that, except we had actual audio.
Wow.
So it's like, and now you travel. Then you hear dun, 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 dun.
That was all you?
That was all me. It was fun. So that was good
like,
time.
did you do
You
a
can't
dungeon
get us
crawl?
anything more than an achievement sound. But
Well, that's on the other machine. We have the sound. I got to
the
move over to the
old
laptop.
sound. Oh,
the
you were
old-
on the old
I know. I got to
machine.
move over to the laptop still.
Gotcha.
We've been using. We did both a lot of role playing, which was great. Pete's an excellent role player as a Dragonborn, by the way. Did a great job. And then we had a battle, which was also fun. And then I was throwing in the arrow sound effects, so arrow would miss and and all that. It was great fun. I really like it. Fantasy Grounds 2 is excellent, but it's really hard to learn. But once you
That's
learn
what
it,
I'm learning.
it's worth the investment. Once you learn it, it's awesome. It looks great. John's like, we're like, where are we going again? John's like, here's the notes from last time. Boom, they come up on the screen. And Rich took his notes, and John just made them so everybody could see them, and it was just awesome. And we could pop up little pictures, and then we had the battle was perfectly smooth. It was really, really neat. So definitely liking that.
Cool.
Also got to play, here's some old school game for you, Marvel Heroes.
I remember that.
What was Ian involved in that one?
No, actually, Joel brought it in, and I got to play with Joel and some other folks. Good times. I own a copy of that game. It's hard to get now. It's out of print. Fantasy Flight and Nexus produced it.
You
and-
ordered it?
No, I've had it forever. I bought it
He
the year
had
it
it
came
when it
out.
came out.
But it is very hard to find because they lost a license, so it's not made anymore. But it's a
Sell it.
the rules are clunky but fun. So you definitely got to it's got an acquired taste, but I really like it. And then, of course, playing more Descent. We are now inside 40 conquests from the final battle.
Wow.
Getting very close. The heroes, though, destroyed me last time. I'm getting a little nervous. It's actually dead tie right now.
Really?
Yeah, exactly the same number of conquest points. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen here. I'm feeling like the tide's turning, but we'll see.
Wow.
So
How
that
many
is
more
my
games
game.
you got left?
Well, if we sat down on a Saturday, I think we could knock the whole thing out.
Are you
We
gonna
probably
do that?
got-
I'm getting tired of
No,
Descent, I
we
must
got
admit.
one more session. We don't play it. It doesn't matter. We got one more session.
It does matter because all the people I want to play board games with are locked up.
Yeah,
No.
they're locked up playing Magic.
It's Magic,
dude.
dude. It's not.
Don't
we've
even
had this
throw
debate
that down.
Yeah, don't even do
Don't
it.
even
It's
throw
not-
every other week Descent. I mean, I don't even go to the game store
it's
anymore.
Tim Colonna's playing
Magic-
Magic. Christian's playing Magic. Greg's
wait.
playing Magic.
Ian's playing Magic.
Stino's playing Magic. No, Ian, Brian, Dave, Russ.
Ian Bryan.
Josh
No, everybody
are all
just.
playing Descent.
No, wait. It's bad. The Magic's gotten so bad that they're scheduling the Descent events around the Magic booster drafts.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally are like taking more time off for Descent for Magic.
Which is crazy, and nothing against Magic, but honestly, these are guys that haven't mentioned the name Magic the Gathering in 10 years, and all of a
okay.
sudden,
For
It's
me,
fun.
for the people I want to play with.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like I don't get there at all, so all
that's okay.
I judge it
You're
is by
gone.
the emails.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're gone. Andy, who doesn't play Magic, was gone. Will was gone. John was gone. So my secondary crew was gone.
Oh,
Right.
great. We're your secondary crew? That's
We're the secondary
That's
tier.
wicked
We're second
nice.
tier. All right, moving right along. So that was games played. How about some modeling? My ship is still not finished. Sadly,
wow.
I did
My
clean. The,
Hueys are still not built.
I did clean my modeling area if that counts for anything.
that's good.
Look, I got a
did the
giant
same thing.
bottle of dice now.
Oh, yeah, look at that. If we ever need to die, I know
I
right
know
where
we're
to
ready
go.
to go.
I did that too. All right, Craig should do other first.
Yes, well, dude, don't skip over the one thing I did do.
Yeah, you did some modeling.
I did. I'm still really super psyched about Epic. And
Achievement for sticking with Epic.
And yeah, so on Saturday I blocked out some time, and actually Karen blocked out some time for me to help me out. And I you know what? That's just not gonna work.
No, this is how Rafe knows you're talking.
Oh, okay.
See,
We're trying to use a
Craig.
camera, so and Russ and Rafe can see each other, and all I can see is Russ making like talking noises with his hand, and it's offensive. I find it.
Hey,
offensive.
Craig.
Yes.
Is it really just building an Ekasam ruined cathedral, just kind of like taking some popsicle sticks and kind of crushing them up a little
Yeah,
bit?
that's it. That's all I did. I used
It's
the
so
old.
small, you see.
I used the old Space Marine building frames, and I actually built and some Necromunda, those old Necromunda
Ooh.
bulkhead frames. And
achievement for creativity.
cut pieces of those out, and I made a giant for Epic, so it's about a foot long and about 6 inches wide. And it looks a tiny little bit like Notre Dame, so it's got those two big square towers. One of them is complete, which is a little difficult, so I had to put pieces together. And then it's 3 stories tall, so I actually had to cut the ruined tops off a bunch of the walls and glue them on top. And then there's actually a part of the domed ceiling in the back is on there, too.
Nice.
So I got really excited, and I cranked that out over the weekend. I'm just getting in...
Rafe, did you want to say something?
I did. This is working out good. I love it.
I don't think it is.
I don't
Serious
buy it.
question.
Yes.
What's keeping your Epic juices flowing? Is it because you're reading 40K stuff?
No, I think it's a great game, and I think modeling at that scale is just easier.
You've just been having fun with it?
And well, it's mostly been eBay buying, really. Still,
Have you done any?
okay.
Let me ask you this: have you done any painting?
no, this is the only thing I've been able to do.
So you
But-
can build, but you can't paint.
no.
Is that a rule still,
No.
or-
The whole thing was, Craig, why don't you paint? And I was like,
Oh, I
well,
see.
I don't have anything I want to paint right now. I want to do some modeling, so I did some modeling.
Achievement for doing what you want.
Okay, great, thanks. I don't
What?
feel very good about this.
No. I'm not being
I'm getting
sarcastic
a
in any
bad
way.
vibe.
It's a straight
No,
delivery that's
no,
together.
we're good. It's all good.
Anyway,
Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah. So that's modeling. I'm done. Forget it.
You sure?
Yep. I'm
All
done.
right. I don't understand. Okay, moving on.
He's like, oh, that's my, I'm done.
All right. So in other,
Yeah.
one of the reasons I haven't done any modeling, to be honest, in addition to cleaning the basement, is also that I've been playing a lot of Halo. Halo Reach, as everybody knows, came out. I finally got through the campaign. Woohoo! But I made a goof, and this is a little warning for all my gamer friends
Did you
out
go
there.
through the campaign yourself?
Yes, with co-op.
friends.
With co-op.
Fun.
I've played some levels by myself, some levels with co-op, but here's my little mistake. In the middle of the game, level 5, I played the first half of level 5 by myself on hard
I know
level,
where you're going.
and I got stuck.
Yep.
So then what I did was I called in a friend, and I said, hey, can you help me finish level 5? And he did. And then we played through to the end of the game. That was awesome. It was Andy, actually. Andy got me always. It was
having great fun.
Great time. The problem is that Halo marks a level completed either if you finish it by yourself or you finish it co-op. But if you have to level by yourself and have to level co-op,
It's not
it doesn't
finished.
count it finished. So I finished. I got the achievement for each level except level 5, and I didn't get achievement finished in the game because level 5 is not technically complete. So now I got to go back to level 5 either by myself or with friends and play from the beginning through. So a little tip: if you want to get a level completion, you got to make sure you start the same way all the way through the level.
I've done that before. It's very frustrating.
It was a bummer, and it was
Because you're
hardcore too.
waiting for that, you complete it. You see the end scene.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the noise.
Yep. Having fun though, and it wasn't. There's some really good moments. The ending's awesome, very poignant. I highly recommend it.
Now, I read a review by
Yeah.
a certain person named Ian
Yeah.
who said that this game, according to people in the forums,
Yeah.
is not being as hailed as good as either ODST or Halo 3.
That's a lie.
I might be getting that wrong.
If you go to Metacritic, it's the second highest rated Halo game ever, and
Behind what?
the first Halo game. But then also, it is the everybody's saying it's better than ODST. Generally, the review community felt ODST was a flop. I liked it because of the voice
And I
acting.
must be saying the wrong
But
version.
it's
Must not be
and
ODST then.
most gaming magazines, including Game Informer, one of your favorites, say that Reach is the best of the Halo set, and that Bungie did a great job taking it out. So I agree. I thought it was awesome. So I highly recommend Reach. Now, one little interesting thing,
What's the next thing?
I got my girls to play Halo, but here's what I did. So they're young for Halo. Okay,
How
they're
the heck did you do
well.
that?
Here's what happened. So it was Sunday afternoon. The girls were on their own little thing outside playing, and I was like, I'll just play a few matches of Halo online. So I was playing some by myself matches, trying to get some extra credits to get my new helmet. And while I was playing, they came in and started seeing me play Halo.
Whoa. Playing to get your helmet.
Yes, you get credits for doing
That
things.
sounds very similar to another style of gaming, but whatever. Go on.
Right. This style's fun though. So then the kids come back in and they see me playing and they think it's awesome and they watch me win a level. Now they want to try it. Now the problem is they only watched the very, very end of the game. It was all Halo, humans versus humans. So there's no crazy monsters or blood or anything. So when I went to I was like, how can I show them Halo? They really wanted to try the vehicles. Then I went to Forge World mode. And in Forge World mode in Halo, you get basically a blank map, and you can put whatever you want anywher you want.
You could put like strawberry shortcake in there if you want.
Well, it has to be a Halo artifact. But yeah.
I know.
So what I did was we went split screen, and each of them played a character, and we started adding the helicopters and the jeeps and just driving around. They had a blast. I thought it was the coolest thing ever because you could do crazy things like build a stack of boxes and put a grenade in and watch them blow up and learn about arcs and physics and it was neat. They had a great time with it. So that's a fun way with younger
seizing
kids.
the teachable moment.
Right, exactly. So I think it's a fun little way to to get your kids into it without getting the bloody parts of it going on. So they love it. But we have a rule: they can't play Halo without Daddy.
Ross, how do you feel about that? Because isn't the blood from the aliens like purple? So I never really felt like that's the same as having them watch.
Well, I'm more concerned about nightmares from. There's some scenes in Halo Reach in particular that are very graphic.
Okay.
And there's people. I mean, people die in all the Halo games, and you think as you get attached to the characters, and there's some really amazingly.
No, you're right.
Rated. I would say rated R or at least PG. It's
Rated
R.
M, right?
Well, the game's rated M for mature. It's up 17 plus. But there are scenes that are easily out of rated R movie in terms of like.
But I mean,
violence.
even now it's rated M for the campaign because sometimes they rated M because of the live play. But
no,
that's
it's
not
the
game's
campaign.
now rated M, right?
It's the campaign. Yeah, the
Yeah.
campaign has scenes where people die. Very graphic.
I don't let Lou play it.
Yeah, I would not let them play the campaign by themselves. Not at this age. Not at 8 and 6.
Okay. What's the next thing?
Now I've been reading another book by John Ringo.
Oh yeah,
Craig, have you read Live Free or Die?
I have not.
Okay, this one you need to read.
Really? Is it good?
It's amazingly good. It's sci-fi.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so his last book I read was The Last Centurion,
Yeah.
which was modern warfare
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
This one, it's still got the little pro-American thing going on there.
Yeah,
So if you
he
don't like
loves it.
that, but it's really hilarious. This is not spoiling anything that's happened at the very beginning of the movie, the book.
Yeah.
But basically, the Earth's just sitting there, and all of a sudden, this astronomer observes this thing flying through space, and it's like a ring.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it shows up in our solar system, and there's a message on all of our phones that says, we've got a ring, and basically it's a jump gate.
Yeah.
And there's a jump gate, and you can use it if you want to. You got to pay to use it. And by the way, hostile races can use it too. So a hostile race comes in, puts an orbit around Earth. We can't do anything to these guys. They start to say, give us all your medals. And so
Yeah.
it basically became, you have to work for these guys. But there's a couple people that are trying to figure out a way to get this other trading race, which is much more powerful than this war race,
Yeah.
to come in and get something of value on Earth. And they discover, this is very early in the book, that maple syrup is the thing. And so the whole book takes place in New Hampshire, Live Free or Die.
Really?
And it's just it's great. And the Yankee
that's
accent is
awesome.
Wow.
really, really good. And the writing's excellent. The aliens are hilarious. The political
that sounds
overtones are
great.
not as bad as in Last Centurion. I mean, I happen to be on that side of the fence, but even if you weren't, I think this book would be enjoyable for anybody.
Oh,
So
that sounds great.
definitely worth a good read. Great writing style. So Live Free or Die. I'm about
exciting.
halfway through it. It's awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
And I think this might be yours, Rafe, but I'm also playing a little StarCraft still. But yeah, so go ahead, Rafe.
Yeah, I played nothing big. I played an episode, a segment of StarCraft 2 over the weekend. That was fun. And I pulled out my Horde bag of models to play with Dave Farr until I couldn't because Descent was going on. But it was really cool to break out the Horde models. And speaking of painted figs, I opened them up and I'm like, why didn't I send my cavalry? Because I just don't want to paint my cavalry.
Right.
Trying to finish Red Dead Redemption.
How's that going for you?
I didn't want to finish it, Russ. I just wanted to trade it in. But I got to tell you, man, I know you know, the story is just awesome.
It is, isn't it?
I didn't want to finish it, and I'm like, oh, this is too good. So don't give me any spoilers, but am I close? I've done like 3 separate missions in Mexico.
No,
Am I close to
unless
being
you're
towards the end?
No, you're probably halfway.
Oh my God, that's it?
After Mexico, you go to Blackwater. That's when you're near the end.
Okay, cool. I finished Case Zero, Dead Rising 2.
What'd you think?
Loved it. I literally played it like 4 different times.
Wow.
It has 4
Wow.
different endings. I've seen all 4 endings.
Nice.
That's rare for me, to play a game that much.
Yeah, I'm that way with Halo. I'll play it through again. I just love that
Yeah,
game.
you will, totally.
Yep.
So I feel good. So I picked up Dead Rising 2 today.
Nice,
Matter of
nice.
fact, this is a hologram. Rafe is really in playing Dead Rising 2.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, I got to tell you guys, the D&D play-by podcast is going really strong. We got 2 new
Yeah,
characters.
nice. It's been great. I've been having fun listening to it.
It's fun, and they wrote in for the first time ever. They wrote in like 2 paragraphs worth of stuff. So I'm really excited to get
Nice.
that infused into the game.
That's fun.
And then I don't know what prompted me to do this, but I downloaded Rerule.
Oh, it's
Farm
another
Plus.
MMO. Oh, Granger.
Do you know what that is, Craig?
Actually, I'm not even going
no idea.
I'm not even going to belittle City of Heroes by saying this is an MMO. This is not an MMO. This is a.
No.
This is a.
Tell them what it is. Tell them what it is.
Oh God, this is Farmville, but it's medieval
Yeah,
style. Okay.
It's Farmville.
Great.
Only it's not.
Okay, it's Farmville, but you build your little
Yeah.
medieval fiefdom, right?
That's swell.
Right?
Is it
no,
on
this is
like
a farm.
Facebook?
Well, see, that's what's interesting, Craig. I downloaded Farmville.
Yeah.
So does
You
iPhone.
can't play
or-
Farmville unless you have a Facebook account.
No, you can play it on the iPhone too.
No, not unless you have a Facebook
Oh,
account.
really? Okay.
Because I downloaded the app.
Yeah.
And then I
This was
I-
before
I
you got
went to
rid of
the
your
play.
iPhone.
Look at oh, Russ, you see that?
I did see that. Yes,
That's
my-
riveting radio right there.
it is
my
riveting
honey
radio.
baby. That's my honey baby.
Rafe's wife just said
kidding.
hello.
Just good night. Okay, so this is what I want to talk to you guys about, Craig. This is how the freaking thing works. Okay, you get your little farm, and it'll say grow some sunflowers, and you get 2 gold. And see, this is kind of fun because I can see Russ sit back in his chair and look really dejected.
Can you see this?
No.
Wow!
No.
Wow!
Lines on the finger.
Yeah.
Wow!
but
It was a finger.
It
Yes.
was a finger.
Wow.
Russ, do you
Craig's
know
a little
about
rude
this?
today,
Do you
not
know
gonna
about the grow bottles. That's how
No,
they're making their money.
I
Do
don't.
you know
I
about
don't.
that?
I don't play these games.
Okay, so
Rafe.
this is really fascinating to me as a marketing tool. So you build a chicken coop, and then you can't get your
God.
gold for your chicken until 5 hours. Literally 5 hours goes by.
Wow.
So you can turn the game off in 5 hours, and then the way you make your money is you spend $29.99, and you can buy 50 grow
Wow.
bottles, and you can click your chicken and put a grow bottle on it, and he grows into a full chicken. That's what everybody's all addicted about.
You know,
when you hear
P.T. Barnum was totally right.
He was.
I agree.
There's a sucker born every minute.
well, I don't know if you're catching this on the news, but these are the games, Farmville and these other
I
games.
know.
where moms are spending $1,000 a month.
But as a
retiring.
video gamer, I got to tell these people there's so many better games to waste
I
your money
know.
on. People,
I know. I wanted to see what everybody was
on.
talking about. I don't think it's
Bejeweled, play Bejeweled. It's more interesting. Anything.
that- Yeah, you can play
Peggle
Viva
is
Pinata
better.
for free.
Oh
Viva
man,
Pinata is totally free.
I know.
So people are spending their Social Security on this stuff.
Wow. Well, I guess whatever makes you happy, I suppose.
Yes.
All right. So is that all of our other except for Craig? What do you got for other there, Craig?
Well, eBay's still going strong. Actually, right now,
The addiction,
is
you
the
mean?
first. It is the addiction.
You know, we were just picking on the We Rule people, but you're no better than them. Let's be clear.
I
Instead of buying glow bottles, you're buying epic little dudes.
yeah, but I'm gonna actually
right.
get to paint them and play
Okay.
with them.
Well, they would
and-
argue they get to play with their big chicken.
which
get to
is
pet their
great,
chicken.
which is great. They can go play with their chicken. Okay.
You actually do pet the chicken.
Great, they can pet the chicken. You pet the chicken.
makes them
okay?
happier.
Why don't you all just go pet a chicken? All right. So, but because I'm me, actually, right after we recorded the last episode, I went and bid on a bunch of auctions. not waiting for listeners to hear what I needed and to come to my rescue. So I spent lots of money.
And then people came to your
And then
rescue.
people were like, hey, I've got some stuff. Rob had a bunch of stuff that was still actually in the shrink wrap.
Thank you, Rob.
And Rob is actually I bought one thing from him, and at my urging, he put it all on eBay, and it all comes due. Actually, it came due just about an hour ago,
Ooh.
and I'm hoping he made some serious money because it's all literally mint condition, still in the shrink wrap.
Ooh.
So I hope that worked out for him. Chris over in England actually had a giant box that he just mailed me.
Oh.
And so because of that, I wanted to mention he runs 3 blogs, but only 2 of them are gaming.
Okay.
One is a board game blog, unboxedbgb.blogspot.com. So the last one I saw was he did a review of Carcassonne.
Okay.
But the one that I think you'd be really interested in is dukeofthebloodkeep.blogspot.com, all one word. That's his painting blog, and right now he's doing all of the basic models from Descent.
Ooh.
And he's
check it
got
out.
really cool step-by-step photos of him painting. He's got the Dark Wizards there. He's got the Naga. He's got the Hellhounds and one other's up so far. And he updates those regularly. So go ahead and check those out. And if anyone in England knows Neil, whose eBay handle is a perfect 0, he's not a listener, but find him and thank him for me because I found him by accident. I did some weird search on eBay, and he only sells to people in England.
Oh.
And I did not notice that when I bid on $100 worth of stuff.
Oops.
And I won it.
Oh, so you were that annoying guy.
You're that guy.
I was, and I won it, and then I was like, "Oh my god!" And he was like, "Well, I don't do it not because I don't want to do it, but because I've been bitten before, and people give you bad feedback because the mail takes forever." I'm like, "Look, you don't have to do this for me. You can totally just negate the sale, but I got to tell you, I know it takes a while. I'm not going to give you bad feedback, I promise." And he was awesome. And he put it all together, and I got it in no time. So I do want to thank
damn
Neil.
yank building my auction again.
That's right. That's right. Still listening to Codex Alera, the Jim Butcher fantasy series. And it's interesting. A listener actually sent me, he, on my recommendation, started reading it and doesn't like it. Mm-hmm. And because he's in his world building, and now that he mentioned it, I'm noticing it. Jim Butcher does this, and it doesn't really bother me, but things like there's no such thing as chess in the world of this series.
Okay.
But he uses the term checkmate a couple times. See what I'm saying? And it's things like that. I didn't really notice. And at the same time, I'm thinking, you know
do
what?
the characters use the word checkmate?
Yeah,
or does it
I
just
know.
he use it as a descriptive term for you to relate to the game?
I'm not sure.
That's
But
interesting.
In my head, I'm
Because
just
if the
saying
narrator uses it, that might be okay.
Right. Well, it didn't bother me either way,
Right.
but it did. And I could see how it would bother some people.
Right.
And then there were a couple other things that I forget. Those don't bother me, but you know what does bother me is it almost feels like the writing's getting lazy. And as I was driving here, actually, I had one example where it was like, the redly burning fire glowed red, literally.
Oh, oops.
Like, whoa.
Come on, really?
Jim, what
Wow,
are you
He
doing?
doesn't normally do that.
Yeah, he doesn't, but there's a lot of those. I would say there's probably one per
Sure, he's
file,
not going
so
like,
it's like one every
Myth
hour.
Adventures route here and just go for some comedy?
No. There's no tongue-in-cheek involved.
All right.
It's like, the mighty thews of his arm swelled mightily, that kind of thing. And it happens more than a couple
Wow.
times. And I'm like, Jim, that's not like you. But I still love the story. The story is still awesome. And slowly he doesn't give anything away, but slowly over the course of the series, you're learning why it's all Roman, but they're in a fantasy setting.
Oh,
so it's
cool.
very, very cool. And he doesn't tell you anything. You have to put it all together yourself. Finished Prospero Burns. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you can't say anything because it's not even out
I
yet.
can't
You
say
spoil
anything. All I can say is, oh, my God.
Mr. Abnett's done it again?
Oh,
He
my
has.
God.
Wow.
And in the last 3 pages, I won't tell you what they are, but there's one huge bombshell that goes all the way back to the very beginning of Warhammer 40,000 canon fluff.
Cool.
And
Wow.
he like brings something out into this is right up there with finding out if you read Legion.
Yeah.
That the Alpha Legion aren't really bad guys.
Wow.
Okay, it's the same level, I think, of
Just spoil that book
revelation.
for somebody.
Well, no, not really. And then there's one just cool, really cool character aha moment at the end that you're
cool.
like, oh my god, that's that guy. So very, very cool.
Achievement for
Very
Dan.
Are we supposed to read first?
You have to read 1,000. You don't have to read 1,000 Suns
I'm going to
first.
take your recommendation.
But there's a couple things that get spoiled in Prospero Burns from 1,000 Suns, and I don't think I read them in that order: 1,000 Suns and then Prospero Burns. So I don't remember if there's anything in 1,000 Suns that would spoil stuff from Prospero Burns. I would go with 1,000 Suns first anyway, which if you're listening to us, you have to, unless you're going to wait 2 more months to get the next book.
Right.
So anyway, that's me right now. I'm all set.
All right, is that achievements?
That's achievements.
This is the D6 Dice Demon, and when I'm not tormenting souls in Hades, I'm listening to the D6 Generation. Shouldn't you?
The D6 Generation.
Dice are our vice.
Tired of pen and paper? Take your game to the next level with Army Builder and Hero Lab from Lone Wolf Development. Army Builder has been the standard for Army construction software for miniature gamers since 1998. And coming out in July 2009, Army Builder 3.2 includes PDF support, streamlined user interface, mobile device output, and lots more. And for RPG players, Hero Lab is the award-winning character creation and management software for players and GMs alike. Hero Lab supports all the major RPGs from D&D to World of Darkness. With Army Builder and Hero Lab, point-and-click simplicity lets you spend less time prepping and more time playing. Download a free demo from our website, www.wolflair.com. Discover for yourself why 100,000 gamers have chosen Lone Wolf Development.
And now, what's in the news? Brought to you by Tabletop Fix. Visit our website at www.ttfix.blogspot.com for the latest tabletop news and become a follower. Cheers. Fuck. That's F-A-L-K. Anyway, back to the news. Well, there's been a lot of talk about charity in this episode, and speaking of charity, another great charity is Child's Play, supported by the folks at Penny Arcade. Penny Arcade is a giant Child's Play auction every year, and one of the things given away was by Harmonix to have a song added to Rock Band that would be written by the guys at Penny Arcade. And the winners of that auction were none other than Privateer Press. And this song, which they requested be written about War Machine, has now been released for Rock Band. It's a heavy metal bashing tune all about the Iron Kingdoms. Go on, check it out. Fire up your copy of Rock Band. I believe it's on the Xbox now and will be out for the PS3 shortly. Also new in stores, Dominion Prosperity, which was released at Gen Con. For you Dominion fans, the latest hotness is out, so check your local gaming store for the info. Also out in stores, Betrayal at House on the Hill, longtime favorite of Karen Gallant. Talked about many times on the old favorite bit, When Wives Attack. If you've been missing this game or wondering what it was about, it's now back in stores as well in a big old reprint. So get a look on that one if you're looking for it. Fantasy Flight Games, speaking of houses, the game is titled Mansions of Madness, and it's going to be available apparently in Christmas 2010. Designed by Corey Konieczka, who's designed a bunch of great Fantasy Flight titles. It's a 2 to 5 player co-op versus game, kind of like Descent. 2 to 4 players work together against an evil overlord type person who controls the mansion and all the craziness within. So we'll have to see what that's like. Look for more information. Fantasy Flight website has a lot of details and pictures of components. In other big news, Blizzard, that's right, the epic company that has released such games such as StarCraft, the anticipated Diablo 3, and of course World of Warcraft, has finally put a date on the World of Warcraft expansion, Cataclysm, with a release date of December 7th. Not long now, you Warcraft fans. And that's what's in the... Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. What do you mean, Wakeland? What did I miss? You're not going to talk anything about what's going on with Extra Life? Give me that microphone. Hi, everyone. Now that I'm closer to the mic here, maybe you can hear me better. Just wanted to cut you here in the middle of the news and talk about some other news about Extra Life. As we talked about earlier in the show, Extra Life's getting very, very close. And we're excited to talk a little bit about some folks who've been donating to us. Some of our sponsors and listeners have taken some time to donate to the cause as well. We want to thank a special thanks to Kurt Covert of Smirk and Dagger Games, Vincent over at the Black Library, and our contacts over at La Quinta, who have all donated nice sums of money to the cause. So we really appreciate you, these companies getting in there and these listeners getting in there and helping us out. And please don't hesitate. Head on over to the links you'll see. If you go to the D6generation.com right now, we've got links up there right on the top to all the activity. You can figure out how you can either donate a little bit of money or, better yet, donate some time and get some sponsors as well. By the time you hear this, it'll be a little over a week away. So please do what you can to help out some kids that really need some help. Thanks again, folks. Thank you, Wakeland. And that's what's in the news.
Are you having trouble fitting your whole army into one carrying case? Ever had your heavy centerpiece models break through the sides of their foam tray to scrape against their neighbors? You'll never have to worry about any of this again with Battle Foam. The trays from Battle Foam will hold over 30% more models than any standard tray, and they make foam to fit any box, including all manufacturers' carrying cases. What's more, they will custom cut your foam trays to fit any miniature. The boys at BattleFoam.com can even personalize each tray by etching Army logos, personal text, or images right onto the foam. So go to BattleFoam.com right now and pick up the best foam on the market. You've spent more time and money than anyone wants to think about on your models. Shouldn't they be as safe as you can make them? BattleFoam.com. Hooah!
Welcome back, and now we're very excited to have with us back on the show again, Dan from Myriad Games. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for coming on.
It's been a
It's
pleasure
Hollywood
to talk
here,
to you
by the way.
guys.
Now, Dan,
Oh, yes. I hardly recognize you. It's not like
I know.
listened to
I haven't
your show
seen you in a long time.
Yeah, well, it's been very busy the last 6 months with the new baby and the new store and everything. So
it has been. We barely see you even when we're in the store, but you were running around like crazy at Gen Con.
that's the big kind of joke is, we were volunteering with GameSalute.com at Gen Con, so we were in their booth, and I was running around in costume doing interviews all during the show. And then when I got back, I have tons of stuff to catch up on, of course. So I'm working, 80, 90-hour weeks. And, of course, we have a new baby for those of you who haven't been following along. So that's been balancing that at home. It's been a very hectic time, but I'm hoping to catch up before I get the super busyness of the holidays. So.
Right. It's pretty much retail hell coming up, right? Which is good news. It's sales.
It's never hell at Myriad Games. It's always a fine shopping experience. But right. On the back end, there's a lot of work, I would say.
Chaos. Now, let me ask you this, because you were running around at Gen Con for most of the convention in a fancy pants uniform there, talking up a storm about this Game Salute thing. And we've been talking a little bit about it, but can you explain, so what's the scoop with Game Salute? How does it relate to you and Myriad Games? And what's that all about?
Okay, so I can tell you about that. So I've been told that I was wearing a Swedish bombardier jacket, although I did not know that. Nice. Somebody informed me of that when they looked over our photo overviews. But yeah, GameSalute.com is a news site. Their catchphrase is news, reviews, and wild speculation. And then their other catchphrase is the latest and greatest in games. So they really try and provide up-to-date news, not just a ton of reviews, but like good quality reviews. And then they do the wild speculation is just fun little stuff about, well, we think this might be coming up, but it tries to clearly delineate it from the actual news that's confirmed. So we're trying to get as many people involved in that as we can. Myriad Games and Myriad Games Presentation are both members. It's really designed to bring together stores and media partners and just everybody that loves games. The pledge, if you go on there, obviously it has kind of a military theme. The logo is a parody of the Air Force logo with Meeple in place of the star. So it's got that tie-in. And what we're trying to do, if you read the pledge, is it's dedicated to positive promotion of specialty games. It's a network of game professionals, including retail stores, media members, publishers, and game ambassadors. That's you guys worldwide.
Ooh,
and members pledge to work together to provide better service and a brighter future for the entire game community. So it's the actual pledge. If you say the pledge is, as a member of Game Salute, I pledge to do everything I can to positively promote specialty games as unplugged family fun for everyone. So we think that's
an actual pledge. That's cool.
Yes, that is the actual pledge. And if you go to the site, if you go to gamesalute.com, you'll see that we've got like the Uncle Sam, sort of a theme on like the business cards and stuff. So it's definitely cool. Obviously, we're happy to have the D6 generation as a partner involved in that. And really all that means is that, you guys do a great job, promoting games and gaming, both within the industry and outside the industry. And that's what this is really designed to be, is kind of a collective of everyone that's interested in helping grow the industry and support the industry.
And I always wanted to be an ambassador too, so now I feel kind of special. How about you, Rob?
Game ambassador.
Do we get diplomatic immunity?
Only within the purview of Game Salute.
Yeah, only gaming related.
Cool. All right. Hey,
and I noticed that you're saying they rather than I or we. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So we're just, we're a member of a lot of organizations. We're a member of GAMA, that's an industry organization. We're a member of a new retail organization that's just started up, the ProGameStores.org, which is a professional game store association. We're a member of Game Salute, which has a different bent. We're participating in Extra Life, which we'll talk about later. So there's all these great kind of people that we're involved with. We're a member of the Pulp Gamer Media Network, which you guys are as well.
Right.
So there's all these great networks and sites that we're participating in. And Game Salute, we have a lot of integration with them. We do actually their fulfillment for them. So we ship all their prizes and that sort of thing. And a lot of our folks that are actually here from our local area are participating in Game Salute. So the news editor of the site, David, is actually from our area. And obviously we've been involved since the very beginning. But if you go on there and you look on like the actual like stores pages and stuff, you can see that it's really designed. It's all kind of in beta now, but it's designed to be a broader appeal than just us. So this is where a lot of the things that we wouldn't necessarily do as an individual store, it's really designed to be more of an industry-wide effort. And so we just kind of reallocate those things. So if you see my face on a lot of the videos that we did for those, I'm really just there as kind of a spokesperson for it. I don't have an official title or anything, but it's really, separate from what we do as Myriad Games. Game Salute is designed to be that information source. I think Craig mentioned a couple episodes ago, it's kind of like the AP for gaming news and really provide resources. That's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to make it clear that it's not just us. Like, we're happy members of it. One of the reasons we got involved is actually, there's an issue with local stores really is online shopping. It's like you want an online catalog to be able to go browse, to be able to see what's at your local store and get those updates. And it's very expensive to maintain that. For years and years and years, Myriad Games did that. We had integrated inventory and we spent hours and hours and hours every week updating that and keeping it current. And just doing things like posting what new games are coming out. There's really I don't find there's any real good centralized source for like the authority of what's coming out. Even within the industry, I asked people within the industry, where do you go to find out what games came out last week? And they said, I don't know. I go read the, daily receiving logs from our distributors. And I'm just like, yeah, but like then next week you forget when that came out.
Right.
So that's really what Game Salute is designed to be is they're providing one of the features they're providing, and it's in beta now as a shop. So it's at shop.gamesalute.com. You'll be able to check out just a full online catalog like you would normally expect. It has pictures and descriptions, and you can search by price and category and number of players and all that stuff. And then one of the neat features, and one that we'll be participating in as a store, is that they have free local pickup. So you can order through shop.gamesalute.com, and they'll ship it out for you to your wherever you are. But it's much nicer if you have a local store that's participating in Game Salute. You can actually just go, hey, free local pickup, select Myriad Games from the drop down, and then they just forward that order on to us as a store, and then we fulfill that order just like we normally would.
Cool.
So that's a feature that's coming up that we are not. It's not up right now, but once they finalize updating all the beta entry of that stuff, they're going to be going forward from there. So it's really just designed to be kind of a promotional and a service organization for the industry. So while we are heavily participating in it, we are not the only ones involved in that, whereas we are the only ones that own Myriad Games. So.
That's pretty neat. Now, you were involved with it at Gen Con, too. I know you guys are trying to beat up some support for the whole Game Salute project. How did that go? Did you get a lot of great feedback at Gen Con, and how was the growth after Gen Con?
We did. I actually haven't run. I've been so busy since I got back. I haven't run all the numbers yet. I know we did about a couple weeks ago, and we got a very strong response. We ran a $1,000 shopping spree, a free $1,000 shopping spree.
Ooh.
Drawn randomly from everybody. We were getting people signed up for accounts there, or, you could sign up on the site. I think it was anybody that signed up by August 31st was entered in for that. And you just sign up for an account. It's free, on the thing, so that we get you email updates, that sort of thing. And from what I've seen, the numbers are pretty strong. It's not really designed to be like a big splash and then we're gone. We're really trying to build it up over time. And right now everything's in beta. So if you go there and you see like, oh, I wish this were like this, or like I know for a fact that the web team's working on updating. They're going to have some like video insets, and they're going to have some other different layout things. So we're really looking for as many people that want to participate as possible, and as many, as much feedback as we can. But our launch at Gen Con was great. The folks at Gen Con really appreciated us being there. We were an official promotional partner of Gen Con. So you probably saw our logo all around on the different things. And we had a full page ad in the program book. And then we were also running, which Don from Pulp Gamer has done the past couple of years. We had coordinated with him, and Game Salute actually took over sponsoring and running the events in the media center, which you guys were kind enough to participate in.
Right.
So that was a big splash there, and we'll see we're already making plans for next year. So we'll see what our presence is going to be there at shows, and we're going to be doing some other shows as well. So I'm not sure what capacity we'll have at each of those. We may just go as kind of press and do reporting and stuff, and not necessarily have a booth. But because that was one of the most tiring things this year was.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah, it was bouncing back and forth between the two. So like whenever you saw me, I was running somewhere.
Oh yeah.
We had a great team that came with us. So thanks to everybody that came and manned the booth and shared the site with everybody. And we had a ton of people like you guys that hosted, media events in the media center. And we're going to be refining that going forward and adjusting what we can. So it really was a group effort, but I was always coordinating back and forth. So you get a call like, oh, that they don't have, the microphone they need at the media center for this event. So I'd run back over to the West End and take care of that and then run back to the exhibit hall. And then at night we'd stay up processing coverage. So we'd be up till 2 a.m. or 3
I don't think you got a lot of sleep that week.
No, I didn't. And I honestly haven't really caught up. So,
Right.
So Dan, it sounds like, am I thinking of this correctly? It sounds like a resource or a place to go for both retailers or game stores, professional game stores, but also it sounds like gamers can go and contribute. Like if somebody writes a good enough web article, would they submit it to you and you'd put that up on Game Salute, or am I thinking of it wrong?
No, that's exactly what we're looking for. And you'll see on the right-hand side of the site, I think it's called Partners. And there are already a bunch of sites, like you guys, and like Board Game News and Guilt Free Games and Myriad Games Presentations is one of those kind of media partners. So we kind of we have like a news editor that kind of processes the general information. And then we have some content editors that will edit and post reviews. It's not a kind of crowdsourced site. So it's not really designed to be like, we're going to post everything, because I find the challenge with that is you have to filter through everything. So what we're trying to do is provide a place where it was like, if you want to tell somebody, hey, go find out about games and have a really kind of professional, setup, we're kind of syndicating that content with permission from our partners. So they'll say, hey, we're going to put your review here. And then right on those articles, you'll see, up at the top, it'll say, this was originally posted at Board Game News, let's say. And then at the bottom, it'll say, the writer writes for Board Game News, and it'll all link back to those original sites. We also are going to be doing all our partners get exposure on the site through the banner ads and stuff. This is not really designed to be, we're not selling advertising or anything. It's really just designed to kind of feedback and support the whole community. So like D6 Generation, we might post a couple, like, oh, hey, go to see this show, or maybe here's an excerpt from the show, different things, whatever you guys want featured on there essentially, and whatever the best content is that will lead people to you. But then they would go to the D6Generation, .com, and they would find your full shows and all your content. Right. So it's really just designed to get the best of all that coverage together. But yeah, we've had people already that have been submitting, like we have one guy that's writing an article series that's all about introducing people to games. And lots of people do that, but we're really trying to edit it and hone it and make it kind of a professional presentation. So it'll be a front list presentation for the entire community. So people are like, oh, what are these unplugged games, like these tabletop games? I don't really know about them. They can go here and find all that information. And then within the community, you're getting that news either as a retailer or as a gamer. We actually have a new thing that's going to be coming out. We did a test article for it after Gen Con, and I think it's going to be I'm actually writing this. It's called 21 Game Salute, and it's a column and we're probably going to try and do an audio version of it as well, starting in the new year. And that's just, here's 21 items, things that were announced this week. They're all, different games or things that were announced this week, things that were released this week, so that it's that timeliness of information. Because we hear all the time, like, people just don't know when games are coming out, what they are, what the status on games is. And the catalog, the shop portion of it, is designed to have that all right there. So actually one of the items there, in addition to like price, an approximate price, which is basically just the manufacturer's suggested price, and a description and stuff, it'll have a expected release. And so you'll be able to go there, and that's updated every day as people go there. Like, okay, so we get to, what happens in the industry a lot is we get to the end of the month and it's like, oh, all these things were supposed to release in September and they're not out yet.
Okay.
It just doesn't get updated. People are like, well, I guess it was supposed to release in September, but it's not out yet.
Now, Dan, I noticed last time, one time you did a thing where, and these numbers are kind of hard to get in this industry, I think, and that's sales figures for a given month or a given quarter. Is that something Game Salute's going to try to keep up there, and so people can kind of see, hey, how did my favorite game do last month, or did the launch of Ravenloft go well, or that kind of thing? Are those numbers readily available, and is Game Salute going to promote those?
Right. We'd love to do that down the line. I mean, you're essentially talking about NPD numbers,
right,
especially in the games industry. Yep. The challenge is that we're hoping to be able to get those numbers from publishers as far as the initial sellout from a game, because they'll have the best numbers on how many copies they shipped. And that's where you'll see a lot of those NPD numbers. They'll get it from the retail chains at the end user, and they'll also get it from the publishers and kind of check those numbers. The challenge with getting actual sales numbers is that you're dealing with a ton of independent businesses. Right. So we have to make sure that that we have enough people involved that the information is anonymous, right, and that it's not like, oh yeah, well, it's just these 12 stores that are submitting sales information. But that's a bigger project. So I think that's something we may want to do down the line. But really, that's what GameSalute.com is designed to be is, hey, we've got all these great ideas. We keep seeing this because I've been in the industry since 99, well, really 98. And so we keep seeing like, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was somebody that could do this? And it's like, yeah, that would be great. And then it never happens. And so this is like, okay, well, let's take the best of those ideas. Let's put what resources we can as a community into these. And then we'll say, this is something we really want. Let's do it. So that might be a project that we might be able to do down the road. So we're working with various partners and we'll see how that all shakes out. But that's definitely something we'd like to do. We actually ran one of the contests was, supporting local stores and previewing, Castle Ravenloft, because we did a video overview with folks and Wizards there. And so it was like, hey, buy it from your local store. I think it was the week it released. It was like buy that Friday. And you'll get entered to win a free copy of Wrath of Ashardalon, which is the second one in the series. Right. So that's a very kind of low cost way that we can help encourage people to support the members of the site. Because down the line, right now it's beta, it's all free. But down the line, like Myriad Games as a store, will be paying in a monthly fee to Game Salute so that we won't have to do all the work to maintain that comprehensive online catalog. Sure. It'll just be done for us. And we know that everybody will be able to go there. We'll be able to use it on our computers in store without fear of like, oh, there's a bunch of discounter ads on there or stuff like that. It's just kind of a neutral source. Yeah, so it's just like, this is the general information, and then all the sales stuff is still handled by each of the stores that participate. So you're not setting prices. You're not telling people how they need to sell stuff. You're just providing resources and promotion to help more people find out about those stores, help more people find out about games. I mean, ideally down the line, we'd love to have essentially a network like kind of something like IGN has, where it's every game is covered. And since the whole point of the, if you look at the pledge, it's positively, support games. So it's find the people that are the most excited about the games and then have them cover those games. Right. Because as we well know, there's games that we like and there's games that we don't like. And I'm not going to have Craig, do a preview of the new Magic set when he has no interest.
Are you sure? Because he'd do a great job of that, I think.
Yeah, he would love that.
And I'm not going to have him do a review of the new Agricola expansion either. I'm just picking on him because he's not here.
Of course.
But you get the point. It's like we want to take the passion that we all have for games. Like the Lord of the Rings co-op game just came out, the new version of it, the board game. Right. And it came out in 2000. I love that game. So when the new version came out, it's like, man, I would love to, write a review and share how much I like that game and talk about the differences between the old version and the new version. So we're really looking to take as much kind of passion and excitement from the industry and put that into GameSalute as we can. And all our staff members, like our game guides and stuff, are all participating in that, even if they're just kind of reading the news there on a regular basis. We've really found it helps because I have all that information in my head because I have to do those product updates every week. Right. And a lot of the other store owners in the areas do. But even, media partners like you guys, there's no good source. Like, well, I can go to this publisher's website and I can try and find the information about when this item released.
Right.
But those publishers might not even be updating their websites. So we got a long way to go before we get to a kind of real professional kind of media presence. But that's what we're trying to do. And we really welcome everybody to do that with us, because that allows, stores like us as a separate entity, Myriad Games, can focus on doing what we do best, which is selling and promoting games. And GameSalute can handle a lot of the information flow, which is really a lot of information to balance and manage.
Well, that sounds awesome. Now, so you've been working on that and of course, and supporting GameSalute. And now though, so that was, Big Bang in August and kind of following up all that. Now October's here and you've got some kind of huge event coming up at Myriad Games, in a few weeks. What's that about?
We do. Actually, it's our first, annual, we're calling it Myriad Games Celebration. So it's a celebration of games. And actually,
I'm looking forward to hearing this.
I just got the flyer the other day, and it looks awesome. Actually, Cody from Game On with Cody and John did our design for the flyer.
Oh, cool.
For that. So you'll see that up on the website. But basically, it's our 11th anniversary. We've been doing this since 99. And so we're turning it up to 11, as it were. And there's a bunch of other funny phrases on there. But basically, we're celebrating that, and we're going to do an annual celebration. It's kind of like a mini-con. So we're bringing in a bunch of special guests. Like you guys are guests of honor this year.
Right.
So we'll look forward to seeing you for whatever you can be there for.
Yeah, we're very excited.
And then we're actually bringing in Cody and John from Game On with Cody and John. They're actually flying in for it, so it's going to be cool there. Down the line, closer to the holidays, we may have some other special guests coming. But for the celebration weekend, we're trying to get all the local gamers, really have a thank you weekend for our customers and a celebration of everything that games can be, everything that's great about games. And it happens to synchronize with so for the layout of the celebration, it's basically just going to be a bunch of events. We're doing games all weekend, so you can. Hey, I want to be a champion for this event. I really like, the Lord of the Rings co-op game. I'm going to run a game of that and show people how to play. And then we'll put them on the calendar. People can sign up, very much like a mini-con. We'll be doing a whole bunch of fun, different special events and games, special deals, all that stuff. All standard, store, annual celebration sort of stuff. And it happens to sync up with an even bigger event that I'm excited about, which is Extra Life.
Right.
And Extra Life is something I know you guys are very excited about as well, because it's a great cause. It's a great opportunity to play games and heal kids through those efforts.
Yeah, that sounds very awesome. Now, we talked a little bit about Extra Life at the top of the show, but I wanted you to give you a chance to highlight how Extra Life kind of dovetails into this. So your mega weekend here, and what sort of happened to get Myriad Games involved in wanting to be part of Extra Life? How did that come to be?
That's what I wanted to know too. That last part, yeah.
So I've been listening to, if you're familiar with Extra Life, it's been going on for 2 years now. This is the third year, and it was started by the folks at Sarcastic Gamer, which is a community of video game, reviews, and they have a podcast. They have a bunch of podcasts, actually. And so Doc, who's the founder of Extra Life, started that. And if you go back, and you can actually see this right on the Extra Life website, which you can get to through extra-life.org. And he has a whole testimonial about how he knew a girl, and she got cancer, essentially. He lives down in Texas, and they have one of the best cancer hospitals in the country there. And so he said, man, wouldn't it be great if we could get people that, play video games, do like a walk, like a walk for cancer, but do it in a 24-hour video game marathon. And so they did it for 2 years just through, I think last year they got $250,000, something like that, donated. Yeah. And this is all just from individual people running games, playing games, and all you do is you just ask people to sponsor you, just like you would for a walk. And what they usually recommend is, hey, would you sponsor me for, Extra Life or raising funds for local children's hospitals? You pay me, $1 an hour, so $24, you donate that. All that money goes directly to the hospitals. So there's nothing lost there. That's all processed through the Children's Miracle Network.
It's all on the website. It's through Children's Miracle Network. It's all secure. No money. Money goes directly to them. There's no weirdness with you pay your friend or anything like that. It all goes right to them.
Exactly. And you sign up on there, and it's really slick interface. I know you guys have already signed up. And so we were like, hey man, 24-hour games. Now it's been focused on video games, but last year, actually, as I was listening to the results of Extra Life last year after it was over, because this year it's October 16th. That's the big day that it takes place. And I was thinking like, man, why isn't this, all games, board games, card games? Like, why is it just video games? And they even say right on their FAQ on the website, like, yeah, we don't care what games you play. The whole point is just to, raise money for Extra Life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we were like, hey man, wouldn't it be great if, now that we're working with GameSalute.com to help promote, board games, card games, stuff like that, if GameSalute.com was a sponsor of that or a supporter of Extra Life, and that could bring some more attention to the fact that, yeah, you can play video games and you can play any games, just board games, card games, play croquet outside. I don't care as long as you're raising money for a good cause.
Right.
And so that's what we're, Game Salute is actually sponsoring Extra Life this year. We're donating $1,000 of games and more, depending on how much our team gains. Awesome. So we're actually donating games right to the hospitals. If you've ever had the unfortunate happenstance to go to one of the hospitals, there's kids that are in the recovery wards and they don't have anything to do.
Right.
It's just like they sit there and Child's Play, which is another charity for video games that the Penny Arcade guys have done,
right,
is a great thing that they have. Basically, they donate, DSs, they donate video games right to the hospitals so the kids have stuff to do. So we were like, hey, we could do that, but with board games. So we get age-appropriate games. So all those funds, it doesn't take away any money from the money that's going right to the hospitals to help heal kids. That's just something that Game Salute is putting together. There's a bunch of great sponsors, publishers that are donating games. We just started talking to people a few weeks ago, actually, or I think last week, and we already have folks like Gen Con is contributing some free passes to Gen Con 2011. Smirk and Dagger Games is donating some prizes.
Awesome.
North Star Games is donating prizes. And we got a bunch of other people, a bunch of other publishers that will be coming on board. And those all go right to the hospitals. And then some of the prizes, like, the Gen Con passes, we're not going to give those to kids that are in the hospital, but those go to people that have done a great job, supporting the effort. So if you raise $192, which is basically 8 sponsors, then not only do you get a free t-shirt from Extra Life, but you also will have a chance to win those great prizes. That's where Extra Life is and how Game Salute's involved. And then Myriad Games it's real simple. Like, we were just like, hey, 24-hour game day. We can do that. So we're hosting a 24-hour game day on Saturday, October 16th. Starts at 8 a.m. in the morning, goes till 8 a.m. Sunday morning. And you can just come in and play games. And that's all going to be part of our Myriad Games celebration weekend.
But the Myriad Games celebration weekend starts Friday night, right? Did I read that correctly?
The celebration is all weekend. So and they're real loose with the Extra Life stuff. So if you want to come in and play for 6 hours on Saturday or Friday and go to bed, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're getting these people to donate money ahead of time. And, I don't think people are going to come back to you and say, oh, I'm sorry, you only played 23 hours. I want my dollar back, that I gave to sick kids. So it's really just to gain awareness, focus it on that date, so on the 16th. But the celebration weekend is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then this will essentially be Saturday going into Sunday. So that's going to be our 24-hour game day as part of our bigger weekend. But you don't have to be, in New Hampshire. You don't have to be anywhere near Myriad Games to do this. You can do Extra Life from the comfort of your own couch. You can do Extra Life at your own local game stores. Go to your store and say, hey, do you guys want to run some events? Even if it's not for 24 hours, do you want to run some events here? A lot of times stores already have stuff going on the weekends.
Right.
So you can just go there and do it. I know a bunch of people, there's a huge Magic event down in Boston. It's like a 10K, $10,000 in prizes. And so we're telling people, hey, you're going to be playing Magic all weekend anyway. Why don't you just get people to sponsor you and you're helping out with kids? Exactly. Or you already had a video game, weekend planned, or there's some family game time with your friends. Weekend time is family time. So you play with your family at home and you can be raising money to help kids.
Right.
So it's just a great opportunity. And so we're just asking as many people as possible to sign up. You can choose your team on there. There's a whole bunch of different street teams. I think they call them street teams. I don't know why that is. I guess they get out on the street and do things. But if you join teamgamesalute.com and you just go and you type in gamesalute.com, no www, and just make sure you capitalize the G and the S, then you will be in Team Game Salute automatically. And that total whatever you raise, will go directly to the Children's Hospital of your choice. You always get to pick your local hospital. Right. And then that aggregate, the more we raise through teamgamesalute.com, the more we're going to be able to donate to these hospitals. Right. Because in addition, on top of that, the donation, the money that goes, we'll be donating games.
And Dan, we
2 questions for you.
Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Sure.
Number one is I didn't know you were a video gamer and would be listening to Sarcastic Gamer. I haven't listened to them in a long time, but I did enjoy them back in the day. I should put them back in my rotation. It's a good podcast.
Yep, I've really enjoyed that. I don't play a lot of video games. I used to, but time I can't tell you. I don't think I played since Logan was born. But I mostly play casual games. We have a Wii. I play some console games, but not really. I mean, I have so many unplugged games to play. Right. But I love classic games, like I grew up on Mario and, that and Zelda and all that stuff. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'm a Nintendo fanboy hardcore. So I love all the Paper Mario series, lots of RPGs, Final Fantasy, stuff like that. So it's lots of great opportunities to share that. I love the beauty of when I was talking to Doc, from Sarcastic Gamer, and I was explaining this is what we want to do. You really run games and just whatever games, And he was like, yeah, that's going to like, they're going to be doing more of that next year, I think, kind of broadening it out and saying, just play games. You know, it doesn't matter what you're playing. We're all just raising money for a good cause. So I'm really excited to see that we have the opportunity, because so many people play video games, and really so many people play board games, and you get a bit of crossover. You know, you have mothers that would never play video games that would play board games, and vice versa, you know. And so I think there's a great opportunity there to play, because you can do whatever games you want. You can do them wherever you want.
And you can do both, because Nicole and I, we're going to come to the big Myriad Games event. We'll be there on Saturday, and we've already rigged up. We're going to play some Battlestar Galactica with Cody and John, and we're going to bring the big tub of D6G prizes. I think I mentioned to you, Dan. We're going to give some out to some of the folks there who are playing at Myriad and also contributing to Extra Life. So we want to reward people for doing that and just encourage them to get it going on. And then also, though, Nicole and I are going to go home. We can't be out all night because of our kids. We're going to go home. We'll play Rock Band until 4 a.m. or whatever to get the rest of it on. So we'll be online too. So if you're a Xbox Live person, maybe you'll catch us on live playing Rock Band or something. So there's just something you can do. There's a game. Hey, play Peggle. Play air traffic control on your iPhone. Whatever game you like. I mean, you can play and contribute and help kids out as well as have some fun. I mean, there's no downside here.
And that leads to my second question, Dan. So here you are. You've launched, part of Game Salute. You've launched a Manchester store. You've had a kid. You're working 90 hours a week. What part of you, as honorable and awesome it is, makes you say, I'm going to now dedicate time and resources to this charity? Like, what did you have a special story, or you just like, I'm doing this anyway, I'd like to add to this? Or I'm just curious of.
No, I mean, I've been fortunate enough. I don't know. Did you talk about this earlier, Russ, about your experience with Boston Children? So
I did. Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough to, Logan is our first child. He's only 6 months old. We've been fortunate enough. He's very happy and healthy. So I have not personally had anything where it was like, I had somebody that was close to me that did this, but I just feel really strongly that there's so many things that we can do. I mean, we've always donated. We donate to Toys for Tots every year. We donate to Games for Troops. We send. Yeah,
you and I do I know you, I don't know if you know this, Russ, but Dan totally ships. I go through my comics, and not old beat up ones. I mean, I just, current ones I give him to Dan. Dan totally ships those to the troops for free for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a ton of great charities, and we send games overseas because we get, I have a friend that did 3 tours in Afghanistan. Thankfully, he's back safe now, but every time he's over there, we send him care packages, and it gets, if you've never been a soldier, you've never known how boring it is and how dangerous it is. And you need that, your tons of action and then nothing for like weeks at a time. You got your regular training, you got your regular schedule. So it really helps as we constantly hear back from these guys that we donate games to. They just go, thank you so much for, giving us something that kind of raises our spirits while we're in the middle of a war zone and really allows us to focus on, not going crazy from just sitting around, cleaning our guns for the umpteenth time. Mm-hmm. And from a personal standpoint, I just feel like Extra Life is such a great opportunity because I love games. I love kids. Why not support both? It's the best of both worlds. There's no downside. And while I'm doing this, I am encouraging other people to play games.
Right.
So it's both the kind of an advocacy for a general thing, which is not a necessity. Games are never going to be more important than a child's health, but it's something that we can do to help support kids. I mean, my closest through all the charities that we do through Toys for Tots and Extra Life and stuff is, as a kid, I got donations from Toys for Tots. Our family never really had a lot of money. And so it was like, okay, well, here's a great toy. And it was like, oh, I got a present. It wasn't like, oh, which of the 16 presents that I got do I like best? Mm-hmm. It was, wow, I got a toy for Christmas. And so I always love paying that back as best I can because as much as I am not, super highly compensated, looking compared with a lot of people in this country and a lot of people around the world, I am super, lucky and so fortunate in all the opportunities that I've had. And so this is kind of my version of just paying it back or paying it forward or however you want to put it. Mm-hmm. But there's really I don't find a good excuse. I don't find like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm too tired to do that. It's like if I'm too tired to help kids and to share games that I love, that I've made my livelihood out of, then I would just rather sleep one less hour a night. Mm-hmm. And I love sleeping. Or I would, rather not play, Super Mario Brothers for the 15th time, the new Wii version. I would rather just spend that extra hour doing, emails to get more people donating. And you kind of hope that as it gets towards the holidays and we get past the 16th, which is Extra Life, and and all that, it'll calm down. But it always seems like there's something else on the horizon. But I always say I'd rather be, I'm fortunate enough to have so many opportunities. I'd rather do that than just not have any. We see so many people that don't have the opportunity to do that. So that's kind of where I stand personally on it. And so we're encouraging as many people to do that. I mean, I always say, if you can't donate, a lot of people are in tough economic, situations now. If you can't donate, play and ask other people to donate. It's not a lot of money that you're asking them to donate. Donate $24. You can donate to yourself too. So if you find, I didn't get enough people to donate, if you can afford it, donate all you can. You don't have to just donate $24. You don't have to donate $24 even. You can donate. We're actually going to have a jar on the counter at Myriad Games, and it'll say right on the outside, all this money goes to Extra Life. And throughout the whole weekend, people can just toss their change in there, toss $1, toss $5, toss $10 in there. Maybe they didn't want to sign up for an account on the website. No problem. Just put that money in there. We're essentially just going to donate it right to GameSalute.com, the team, so that it goes all right to, we're going to choose our local hospital, which is Boston Children's.
Right.
But it all goes to that good cause. And if you can't donate, you don't have the money, you can play. And so it's really, and even if you can't do
that's what's nice about it, that's what makes it feel really inclusive.
Yeah. And even if you can't do any of that, you can still share the word about Extra Life.
Right.
So go on Facebook, go on Twitter, go on your website, whatever, talk to people that you know and say, hey, man, we're going to be doing this Extra Life thing. Oh man, I'm working that weekend. No problem. Do it another weekend. There's an official catch-up weekend the weekend after that.
Send them a link to your favorite host. Send them to Dan's link. Send them to my link. Send them to Cody and John link. Whoever. We don't care who gets the credit. Just get the money to Extra Life, because those are the guys doing the hard work. And
it's like this all goes. Even the guys that when I was talking to Doc, he actually works for Children's Miracle Network, and so he was like, I'm doing all this. And they work tons, and the whole staff over there. I mean, I got an email back when they listed us on their link as a participating site from Yamster, and there's a bunch of people that do this all for free. They just volunteer. Right. And what that allows us to do, like we volunteer for everything we do for Game Salute. We volunteer for everything we do through Pulp Gamer, and you guys volunteer all your time to do all these great things for the community. And this is an opportunity for all those folks. I'm even telling people, like, if you were going to donate to our show, if you thought that, hey, this was a good thing, we have a lot of people that are like, oh man, I really wish I could support what you do, but like, I'm not in your local area, that sort of thing. This is a great opportunity. Just get out there and donate, play games. You can do it in Ireland. You can do it in China. You can do it wherever you are, just to help support this great cause and to share games with more people, because that's really what we want to do. And there's actually, if you go to GameSalute.com, right on the main page, there's a bunch of links to Extra Life. And that'll take you to an article on GameSalute.com that'll give you all the details. So you don't have to memorize all this. Just go to extra-life.org or go to GameSalute.com.
Right.
Click on the Extra Life thing. It'll give you its 5 steps to play games and heal kids. And there's a little flyer there you can print out if you want. There's even space at the bottom if you're running local events. I'm running this at my library. Print those out. Write your library information on there or stamp it on, and you can host things in your local community. That's really what it's all about. So I'm excited. I'm glad to have you guys on board. And any other questions, stuff we didn't cover about?
No, it's
I'm all
great,
signed
Dan.
up. It was really simple.
No, we are.
I wasn't sure, Dan, because of the 24-hour commitment, but we already covered all that, because I think I can come Friday night as part of your extravaganza. But Russ and Craig, and so listeners out there will know, like, you don't have to commit the 24 hours, and there's a way to make makeup time. So I'm already all signed up. It was a snap.
Yep,
Right.
It's real easy. And then once you are, they have a whole email client. You can log right in.
I guess that's one question. Is the
Is
minimum contribution 24? What if somebody wants to donate 5?
You could donate $1. I think it goes to $1 is the lowest, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, we're going to be taking change if people want to donate that,
Right.
but whatever you want to donate, they're not going to turn any money away. And if there is an issue with that, I think it just allows you to type in literally an amount. Like Sarah, for all her donations, people have been just giving her $25 because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to just give you 24. I'll give you 25. Like, well, we're not going to complain about that. That's extra money to help kids. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely, you can do it. It's very flexible. The focus is on the 16th. That's the big, go day of all around the country, all around the world. We'll be doing those events, but you can do it before, you can do it after, you can donate as much as you can afford. It's a funny little thing on the flyer here. It says, ask your friends, families, acquaintances, and random strangers to sponsor you for just $1 an hour.
Right.
So it's not, I am going to, this is one of the few times where I feel justified in sending this email out to my entire address book.
Right.
Because even if people are like, oh, I don't send out I don't do forwarded jokes. I don't do any of that stuff. But like this, even if you don't want to donate it, it's something you should be aware of, because even if you can't do it this year, maybe you can be involved next year. So there's always an opportunity to do that.
I'll share a little personal story. I was thinking about this, and if you're not I didn't grow up in a donating family. I didn't grow up in a family that went to church. I didn't grow up in a family that went to the soup kitchen. It's not that my parents were against it. I just didn't grow up in the habit of doing charity. I guess my family's a little selfish that way. And since then, as an adult, my charity that my wife belongs to, because we have somebody that we know with cystic fibrosis, I would give from the law firm, and I always gave just an amount that would hurt a little bit. And while I was giving it, I was like, this hurts. I really could use this money for whatever. But then there would always be this event and this cookout. And you'd see the families there and the people there, not even the kids in the wheelchairs or anything like that. The kids with cystic fibrosis are normal looking. You wouldn't know. But I was like, it felt really good, I have to admit, to say, wow, hopefully I'm helping to find a cure. And then my paltry little amount, which hurt for me, but it was, kind of small compared to what other people can do. But then you'd get these numbers back and they'd be like, we raised $465,000. And I'm like, holy cow. And it wasn't that many people were there, maybe only 250. So I guess what I'm suggesting is if you're like me, you grew up like me, you're not in the habit of giving, or it does hurt to give, you'll feel kind of good about it. And the other thing I enjoyed too was, this will be my second charity, I guess, that I belong to, which I support. And it's kind of good. So when I'm walking outside the supermarket and the Girl Scouts are there, I say to them very politely, I'm sorry, I can't donate. I'll buy their cookies, but I can't donate because between that and the football and the soccer team and all these other teams, I say I donate to cystic fibrosis. And when the Lions call me and all these other charities call, I would say, I'm sorry, but I donate my one chunk to cystic fibrosis. So now here's your opportunity out there to also say, and I'm not trying to turn other charities off, but it feels good to have that answer rather than like, oh crap, I can't even scrounge $5 up for Pop Warner football.
Yeah, absolutely. It's everybody has their own causes, something that's close to them, and what you want to donate to is something you're passionate about. And so, I mean, kids are really the future of our whole society, but also our industry. Like kids play games, families play games. It's this whole family focused hobby. Like the entire hobby is around playing games and having fun. So why would you not want to, support kids? And while you're doing that, people are like, what's this fundraiser you're doing? Like, oh, I'm doing a walk to find a cure for breast cancer. Like, no, I'm doing a 24-hour game marathon. Oh, well, that doesn't really sound like a fundraiser. Oh no, it's great. Like I'm doing it. I get to, we play games for 24 hours. It's fun. And we're donating money to help heal kids. Mm-hmm. So it's really a win-win. And it certainly is not to denigrate or take away from any other charities. There are lots of worthy causes, but this is one that I feel personally attached to. And that's why we're going so whole hog on it. I mean, even to the point where we're donating a portion of our proceeds from Myriad Games, from the sales, from our whole celebration weekend, we're donating that to our Extra Life account. So we're going to kick in some extra that way. So even if people are totally stingy, like, I'm not giving money to anybody, just come by the store that weekend, buy something, and you'll automatically be donating. And if you don't want to donate, then just pretend I didn't say anything, and you can pretend I didn't give any of your money to them. But that's what we're going to be doing. So I really think it's a great opportunity.
Are there really people that don't want to? There might be people that are incapable of or feel that they're incapable of.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to run into too many people that would publicly say, no, I hate kids. I don't want them to,
or anything. I hate, no, I'm not going to donate to your cause for the Lions or something.
Well, I mean, there might be like, political action groups or something that certain people might disagree with. But as far as charities, no. I mean, you're not going to find people like, oh, I hate soup kitchens,
Right.
Well, the biggest complaint most people have about charities is simply like, what percentage of my money is getting to the cause? And that's what I think is most amazing about the Children's Miracle Network and Extra Life, is that 100% every dollar you give gets to the kids. There's no.
Because you guys don't understand how that works. Like, they have other sources of revenue.
Right.
So all their donations go direct, but it's not like they're all doing it because they're a huge organization.
Right. No, there's people that are on salary there.
Sponsors and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's other ways. But for this particular event, all the money goes right to the kids. And so that's an important one, because this is one of those few charities. I mean, it makes sense. A lot of charities have to take something off the top to get their job done, but this is one of those few cases where every cent you raise goes right to the people you're trying to help. So,
and it doesn't even go to this kind of general aggregate of like, oh, I'm helping kids.
Right.
It's like, no, it's my local hospital.
It's that hospital down the street that saved your kid's life, or saved your friend's kid's life, or that you walked by and you saw some kids that you said, geez, I really wish I could help those kids out. That's the place that's getting help. And I think that's what's important and exciting about this opportunity at the same time, is that You're really helping people out. And so we're just excited. I know Craig and I and Rafe, we're all excited just to be able to be part of this in a small way. And we're excited already that so many listeners have already chipped in. For Nicole and myself and Craig have already gotten donations, and we're really excited about that. And we're really excited to get it going on. I think it's just a really fun way to, as you said, Dan, to bring the knowledge. And I think it's really cool for you to kind of jump the gap and say, look, let's get this to be beyond just video games.
I think that's neat too.
I think that's really makes sense.
That was what kind of made us get involved this year, because you mentioned all the stuff that we're doing. We got tons of stuff going on. It's like, well, maybe we'll do it next year. And I'm like, no, there's no time. We're not going to wait till next year. Like, yeah, right. We don't have as much time to promote it as we want this year, but you know what? A little bit is better than nothing. So right. If just us doing this can raise an extra, even raise $100, which we've already raised.
Right. We're more than that already. Yep.
Yeah. It's worth it. It's worth the time that we're taking to do this, right. Because we can do it this year, and then maybe next year, we can do it even bigger, now that we've got that up and running. But that doesn't excuse the fact that if you think like, oh, I can't do enough for this, anything you can do is enough. Right. Anything you can do is generous and appreciated, because it really is a huge benefit to these families, especially with the way that healthcare costs are. I mean, I talked to a family the other day where they said, their child got ill. They got all these medical bills. They weren't fully covered, some thing that wasn't covered. Hospitals take the funds from charities like this, and they offset those expenses for families like that. So it directly helps. It's not just some nebulous cloud. It helps real people in your local communities. And you get to play games while you're doing it. So
right.
Why not?
It's all good. Mm-hmm. So Dan,
it's like an Oreo cookie.
Right.
That's right.
So we got Game Salute. We got the huge Myriad anniversary special, which also dovetails right into the awesome Extra Life event, which is going to be amazing, and we're really excited about. And that's pretty much happening right now. What have you got going on in the future? Anything before we wrap up here? Anything coming in the near future?
Well, obviously, we've got our new location, Manchester. We're continuing. That's just been open for a few months now after this recording. Right. So we'll see how that kind of develops out. But we've got our eyes on future opportunities. Wow. We're always looking at that. And one way that people can participate in that, if you've listened to the show and you've been like, oh, man, Myriad Games really sounds like, that's a professional game store. It's a game store that I want to support. We get emails like this all the time. Man, you're the hardest working person in game. Well, I don't think that's true, but it's like, yeah, well, I try and do what I can. And if you want to be participating in Myriad Games specifically, if you want to support our whole credo of getting games to as many people as possible and really being a professional game enterprise, because we really view all our stores are ambassadors to the world. So our Manchester location is 3 doors down from Chuck E. Cheese. So all the kids that walk by and they go like, what are those games? Oh, yeah, Monopoly. It's like, no, we're introducing you to a whole new world of games. And so up to this point, it's like, well, you could buy stuff from us. That was really one way you could participate. And you could, maybe leave us a review on iTunes for Myriad Games presentations, stuff like that, or support charities that we, support like Extra Life. But we never really had a way where you could directly be involved. And so we came up with a new offering that is a business sort of offering. It's an investment opportunity, and it is, and this is not going to be an infomercial. I'll just give you the basics. But this is something that we're announcing right here on the D6 Generation. So this has not been, announced anywhere else. You guys are getting the scoop. And it's called Myriad Bonds. So it's very much like buying, a treasury bond, that sort of thing. And it works real simple.
Uncle Dan wants you.
Yeah, yes. Uncle Dan wants you to help expand Myriad Games. Right. So it works very much like a CD. So you can set a certain amount of time. I think the minimum's a year, and then there's a fixed, return. And with the way interest rates have been, at least in the U.S., they've been pretty terrible. Right. So this is actually a better return than that, and where your funds are. I have some folks that had invested last year, and I had said, oh, wouldn't you, don't you want to put this on the stock market? The stock market just collapsed. You could probably make a decent return on that. And they said, no, that's the whole reason that the stock market collapsed, because people don't know where their money is. He's like, I know when I give you this money, I know where it is. It's right here, helping to do this, helping to grow Myriad Games and helping to grow this thing that I support, that I endorse. So that's an opportunity for folks. If you're interested, you can contact us for information. It's all done on a personal basis. So, it's all confidential. Obviously, we're not telling people who's donating. It's not donating money. You're getting a return on it. But that's Myriad Bonds. So if you are interested in, earning a decent return on some money that you have set aside, don't take out your kids' savings for this, but if you've got some investment income and you want to invest in Myriad Games and get a good return for it and be involved, that's an opportunity.
Well, very cool. I don't think I've ever heard that before. The gaming store. That's pretty neat, Dan.
Well, that's our next step for being a friendly professional game store. Is we're allowing you to help finance our expansion, and that's really what those funds are going towards. Is all these great opportunities to improve our operations and to expand out as we go forward.
Well, very cool. Very cool, Dan. Well, I know you got a lot going on, and you still have the new baby. But thank you so much for taking the time and letting us know what's going on. And thanks again for all you're doing for Extra Life and the community in general, Dan. And we're very much looking forward to seeing you on the big day on the 16th there.
That's right. October 16th, Extra Life at your house or at your favorite game store or anywhere you are. Play games, earn money to heal kids. It's extra-life.org. And if you happen to be in our area or if you feel like driving up or flying in for it, we will welcome you at our Myriad Games celebration as well. So thanks for listening, everybody, and thanks for participating in your local gaming communities, and thanks for taking this opportunity to help share your love of games and help heal kids.
Thanks, Dan, and I know where I'll be on the 16th.
There you go. All right, take care, guys.
See you later, Dan.
TheWarStore.com, bringing war to your door since 1999. The War Store offers the best prices on the net and features such products as Games Workshop, Privateer Press, Sable Designs, Flames of War, and many, many more. Order at thewarstore.com, that's thewarstore.com, or call 631-765-0047. That's 631-765-0047. TheWarStore.com.
I'm Rafe Hollywood Granger, and this is the Hollywood Minute.
Today's shout out from Role Players Chronicle. When you're looking for all the latest news on tabletop role playing, visit roleplayerschronicle.com. Today's episode is on microtransactions. I mean, these things fascinate me. As you've heard me say in the show, we've got Lord of the Rings going free to play. I mean, D&D Online by Turbine has always been free to play, but now my game, Lord of the Rings, is. And I'm okay with the microtransaction, to be honest. I mean, I think Microsoft Live was perhaps the most common use of the microtransaction, and by microtransaction, I guess what I mean is not necessarily that the unit price is small, like 99 cents, but is to say that there's an additional price you can pay for add-ons to your game, whether it be downloadable content, whether it be avatar items, whether it be pets for your avatars, whether it be in-game usages like a unique gun or a unique map pack. I mean, I think Xbox Live was the proponent of that. You know, I guess it can be a little addicting and a little easy. It's kind of like the old casino method of having wampum points. That's what they call it, Foxwood Casino here in Connecticut, whereby if you just gamble, you get these free points you can spend. Now, I guess microtransactions are a little different than that, in that if you're paying for Xbox Live, you buy your $69.99 game, and you want to buy an in-game cool Uzi, well, then you've got to pay so many Microsoft points for that. I guess I mean the casino part, because it's not dollars. So all of a sudden you're paying 210 Microsoft points, but you forget what the heck the retail conversion rate of that is. And so again, with Latro, you've got these things you can buy in-game, and it's pretty sweet. You're playing your game, you click the Latro store, you want to buy this cape, voila, you have this cape. It also gives you in-game buffs. So what's cool is that you can get any of the items in-game, but if you haven't gotten your mount skill yet, for example, you can pay Turbine points, and voila, you have your mount riding skill, and you can ride just by spending real U.S. dollars. What's interesting is I think purists would argue, well, that's not fair, man. Back in my day, you had to earn the riding skill. You had to do the riding skill quest. Well, guess what? You can still do it. You don't have to use the Microsoft points. But I guess it opens up this theory that somebody with money can have the same character as me that's invested with time. Personally, I don't care about that, but I could see how some people would. But my most recent fascination is with these little Facebook games. Of course, I don't belong to Facebook. Zynga being the most common Facebook game. You got Farmville, Cafe World, Treasure Isle, Mafia Wars, Frontierville, Petville. And from my understanding of these games, based off of playing I guess I would say the companion game, which is We Rule, which has a farming game and it has a castle building game, but you don't need to be part of Facebook to play it, is you get these games for free, and then, like there's the one I've been playing, which is We Rule Farm Plus, and so you get this chicken, and in order to sell the chicken, you have to wait a literal 5 hours of U.S. time, regular time, not U.S., and then you wait 5 hours, and the chicken will grow, and you can sell the chicken to get gold. You get the gold, you raise levels, you can build more stuff. But for a microtransaction, you can buy this stuff called Grow, G-R-O. You buy, $5 gets you 75 units of Grow. I'm making that up, I don't know, because I didn't do it. And you sprinkle it on your chicken, and he grows instantly. And that just fascinates me because I hear that, Zynga, which is the Facebook game, has literally so much money, they're gluing dollar bills to San Francisco sidewalks to promote Mafia Wars. I mean, they just must have money coming out of their ears. So this whole concept of giving away for free and having these microtransactions as the way to fund your business is just fascinating to me. I mean, I guess it goes back to the old razor blades. What did they used to say, right? Give away the razor and sell 1 million blades. So I don't think it's a new theory, but as far as coming into gaming, it's pretty new to me. I don't know where the microtransactions going to go. I mean, are you going to see big hitters like Blizzard do microtransactions? They haven't yet. Now, granted, you can buy their mounts and other things like that, but they're not exactly microtransactions. They're more $25 a pop. Are we going to see the new Star Wars MMO by BioWare come out and have some sort of microtransaction? Is it really just the same kind of combination of you're playing Mass Effect and you walk up to this guy and you speak to him and he says, hey, in order to have this quest, you have to buy this, DLC, this downloadable content. Is that the same version of playing Farmville? It's free to play. You get these microtransactions to be able to buy more pigs or whatever. I don't know. Somehow it's a little different again. If I'm playing a game I bought $70 for, and I walk up to a quest giver, and he says I can't do the quest unless I pay more money, that was irritating to me. But when I play We Farm, and they're like, well, your chicken's going to take 5 hours to grow, I'm not complaining. I guess because it's free, right? I mean, I paid $69.99 for the other game. And again, I think I'd have a distinction if I was playing that other game and that quest giver wasn't there, but you can go online and say buy an additional zone and pay points for that. Well, again, I don't have a problem for that. I think the problem for me is that when I'm in the game that I've just purchased and they're asking me for more money, that to me is the distinction, and I don't quite see that as the same type of microtransaction that I'm talking about here. So I don't know. It's a very curious business model to me. I can picture these guys from Zynga saying to their venture capitalists, no, it's going to be great, man. What we're going to do is we're going to give away the game for free, but people will buy lots of dollars to be able to grow their chickens. And seeing these venture capitalists being like, huh? That's really going to work? So that's what's been fascinating me this past couple of weeks. And we've got some good character submissions of some actions for our 2 new characters. Really looking forward to that. So we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Life's funny, the way it throws stuff at you. Just when you think you've got it made and everything's just hunky-dory, something happens. The garage door falls off on your car, or your boss tells you you're being transferred to Detroit, or maybe your best friend is more fond of your girlfriend than you. It happens. You kind of have to roll with it. But all around the world, kids are dealt some pretty rough cards from time to time, and they can't just roll with it. Cancer doesn't just up and go away. Serious injuries don't just heal themselves. Fortunately, when things get serious for kids, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital waiting to help, regardless of their family's financial situation. The 3rd annual Extra Life 24-hour video game marathon provides direct support for the Children's Miracle Network Hospital in your town. And we need your help to ensure local kids have the best care and equipment standing by, just in case life throws itself in harm's way. Visit extralife.sarcasticgamer.com and find out how you can connect to one of the largest events of its kind and make a huge difference in your community on Saturday, October 16th. The 3rd annual Extra Life Video Game Marathon from sarcasticgamer.com and this podcast.
Play games, heal kids.
This is Total Fangirl. Regular Jane most days, total fangirl when the moment strikes. Han shot first. Starbuck is a guy. And Lestat, now there's a vampire. Hey everyone, this is Nicole Wakelin, your Total Fangirl. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicole Wakelin or check out my website, totalfangirl.com. This week, my shout-out will only make sense to those of you who follow me on Twitter. It is Robots Beat Both Pirates and Ninjas. Donut Robot 42, which actually Ryan, who follows me on Twitter, noted was the name of the donut machine at the state fair that I went to with my kids last week. It actually had an official metal placard, Donut Robot 42. The Donut Robot was cool enough, but it was a Donut Robot 42 that made it all the more awesome. Also, this week, I wanted to remind you guys that we're trying to raise money for sick kids through Extra Life Charity. There's links on the D6 Generation website, so you can donate through me or Russ or Rafe or Craig. Last time I checked, Craig had raised a boatload of cash. So if you want Craig to win the overall internal struggle to see who raises the most money for these kids, keep donating to Craig. If you want somebody else to beat him out, donate through one of the rest of us. And truly, it doesn't matter. Just get on there and click on one of those names and donate so that we can raise some money for these kids. We're going to be gaming all day on October 16th. We'll be at Myriad Games and all over the place. So do what you can to help out, guys. Hey, everyone. This is Nicole Wakelin, your Total Fangirl. And today I have a special guest with us. I have with us Ray Weirs. Am I saying your name right, Ray? I should have asked you beginning. How do you say your last name?
It is Weirs. That's
Weirs.
correct.
Okay. And Ray has a rather lengthy list of titles. He holds more than one job title. So, Ray, why don't you tell us who you are?
Okay. I am the Director of Sales for Funfair Games, which is a brand new line of games that's being launched by Mayfair Games. I am also the President of Compound Fun. Compound Fun has 2 brands, Wells Expeditions, which is a core hobby brand of strategy games, and Calliope Games, which is a family-style brand of games that we are engaged in developing games under the Calliope brand title. So.
Gotcha. And now Funfair is the new sort of endeavor that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about what that is going to be.
So Funfair has the specific agenda of pulling family and friends back together around the recreation room table. Our goal is to do games that will seat anywhere between 2 and 8 people, play very well at all levels. The prices of the games we're looking at would be under $30 and playable in under 60 minutes in most cases.
So not real crazy hardcore games. An hour-long game is something most people can commit to okay.
That's correct. So we wanted to be able to have a very high replayability within our games so that if somebody wanted to play several games in a row, that they could do that and get a different experience from each time that they play and they're excited about playing. But if they only have 60 minutes, or a lot of cases, if they only have 20 or 30 minutes, they can sit down and fill that time with some good entertainment.
Now, how are you said you're trying to get a broad range of people. What age group do you think, like how low of an age are your games going to? How kid-friendly are they?
Very kid-friendly. And that's one of the other keys that we wanted to have happen with this brand is that we are shooting to have games that an 8-year-old can play, but mom and dad will actually pull the games out of the closet when Junior goes to bed.
Okay.
So they are games that the kids can play and understand, but they are also games that will engage the entire family and everybody will actually have fun in enjoying the games instead of having to sit down and play games with Junior and not actually enjoying that experience, except for the experience that they're having with their child. So this is hopefully the games that we produce are games that everybody can have a lot of fun actually playing.
Now, for 8 and up, so these are games geared towards, I'm thinking at 8, like the set who can already read. Do kids need to be able to read pretty well to be able to play these?
They would have to have a basic reading skills, I would say. That would be true.
Okay.
I don't know that they have to be able to read really, really well.
Okay, but a little bit so that they can figure out what's going on?
That's correct. But a lot of the games that we are doing, mom or dad could show a child how to play the game, and they would understand very, very quickly and be able to get engaged in the game. Now, they may not understand all the complete strategies of the game, but they would be able to play and entertain themselves and actually contribute to the game as they were playing. Actually having the ability to read the rules, they'll be able to do that at 8, no problem. But I would say that even younger players would be able to play our games, although not understanding all the strategies behind them.
So with the strategy, and that's kind of important for the parents, so enough that the 8-year-old could play it but maybe not get all the strategy, but then when the adults take it out and play it at night, then the strategy, there's enough there to really entertain the adults?
That's correct. Okay. That's absolutely correct. And we've got 2 games that are on the horizon. One is called Got 'em. Got 'em is, right now, it looks like it's going to be a $30 game. It's a board that is printed on 2 sides, and the whole object of the game is to trap your opponent. Now, the one side of the game board is called Bright Got 'em. Okay. And Bright Got 'em, there are a bunch of different colors that are actually on the squares of the board. Okay. And there's slots that run in both horizontal and vertical directions that allow you to insert walls around the squares, around the colored squares.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is trap the pawn with the walls. And 4 players can play. Each player is dealt 3 cards, and each of the 3 cards will have colors on them, and they'll have the instructions of what they can actually do. Now, there's 3 basic instructions in the game. One is you can place a wall on a specific colored square. Okay, so that's the first instruction that'll be on the card.
Okay.
The second instruction that will be on the card is you can move your pawn 1 to 3 spaces, and it'll say 1 space, 2 space, or 3 spaces. The third instruction on the card is you may either move through walls or remove a wall. And those are the 3 rules of the game, all right?
So easy enough for an 8-year-old or younger to follow that.
Absolutely. And so once they see the colors and actually understand the 3 separate rules, it's really easy for them to get engaged in the product. Now, on the back side of the game, we call it Brainy Got 'em, okay? And the cards go away completely, and so do the colors. What we now have is essentially a 4-player chess game. Okay?
Oh, neat. Okay.
And so what will happen is any one player can place a wall on their turn, and then they can move their pawn up to the number of spaces that are equal to 1 plus the number of walls on the square. So if there were 2 walls on the square in which the pawn started, right? That particular pawn could move 3 squares.
Okay.
They can only move vertically or horizontally, no diagonal movement, right? But that's the rules of the game. And so it really becomes interesting in that players can actually put walls on their own pawns if they want to give their pawn a boost to get them to move faster and get out of dodge.
Oh, right. Okay.
So they may not choose to always build a wall on their opponent's pawn, right? So there's really an interesting dynamic there that players of all ages have to figure out.
Very good. Yeah, I can see how that, and that's nice, the idea of using both sides of the board so you can take it down for younger kids and then flip it over and have it something that the adults will get a kick out of too.
Yeah, well, and the reality is this, is that there's a lot of adults that just want to sit down and have good conversation and entertainment and don't want to have to think about every move. And the brainy side, or the bright side of Got 'em, allows them to do that.
Right.
It's a multiple choice thing. Which of the 3 cards do I really want to play?
Mm-hmm.
People who really like a lighter style game will really, really enjoy the Bright Side of Gotham.
Very good. Now, you said Gotham is one of them. What's the other game that you said you have another one on tap that you can talk about?
Yes, right now the title of the game is Whammy.
Okay.
Whammy is a card game that is a burn the deck game. At the end of by the time the deck is completely played through, the game is over.
Okay.
Right? There are 3 suits in the game and cards with numbers 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
The object of the game is to build sets. Now, a set consists of 1 card from each of the 3 suits. So, for instance, if you had a 1 blue, a 2 gold, purple. I drew a blank on the 3rd gold.
Are you looking at a box now?
I've got the deck in my hand. So let's say that you had the 1, the 2, and then another 2 of the purple. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So to score the set, you would take the 2 times the 2 times the 1. So you have a score of 4 for that particular set.
Okay.
Right. So obviously, the highest set would be a 5, a 5, and a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right, of the 3. Now, the trick to the deck is this. The makeup is that there are 24 1s in the deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are 12 2s in the deck, 6 3s, and then the 2s. I'm sorry, there's 40. It starts out at 48. It's 48 1s, 24 2s, 3 12s, 6 4s, right? And then 3 5s.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Which means that there's a lot of 1s.
Right.
Now, the way the game is played is the deck sits in the middle of the table, and players will draw a card from the top of the deck and flip it over, and they will start to create one of 3 safety piles. So the first card gets flipped over, and let's say that it's a 1. You would set that down next to the draw deck. The second card would be flipped over, and let's say that that was a 2. You would set that to the right of the first safety pile. The third card would get flipped over, and let's say that that was a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you would set that next to the 2. So now you have a 1, 2, and 3 sitting in safety piles that the player can go back to and grab any one of those 3 cards.
Got it.
Once they decide which of the cards they want, they put them in their pool, and that would end their turn. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The trick to this is inside that deck, there are also whammy cards.
Okay,
now,
what does a whammy card do?
Okay, so a whammy card will make you lose your turn,
Mm-hmm.
or lose 1, 2, or 3 cards from your pool, or lose all the cards, or one of each of the 3 sets plus 1 additional card from your pool.
So you're looking for no whammies.
Yes, but the statistical odds of pulling a whammy is 1 in 4.
Oh, so pretty high.
Yes. So 1 out of every 4 cards is a whammy card in the deck, which means that the 1s actually have a very valuable position in this game. Those are the ones, remember, there's 48 of them, right? So you'd be pulling them a lot. But those 48 cards are insurance policies for the cards that you want to keep, which are the 3, 4s, and 5s. Those are the ones that are really going to score high on your set.
Right.
So the 1s are now insurance policies, and the 2s double your score. So the inherent nature of people, whether they're young or old, will be to go to the deck and pool the unknown, even though they have safety cards that are right in front of them and they know exactly what they are.
Right.
Okay. So there's a lot of fun there, right?
Yep.
In challenging the deck. Okay. So the thing is that younger players may not always understand the importance of the 1 and the insurance policies that they play for the player's pool. They will inherently, like I said, go to the deck and draw the unknown and get burned by the whammy card.
Right, right.
If you are being whammied all the time, every turn, right? And remember, if you're playing with 4 people or 5 people, and this game can sit up to 8, and you have odds of 1 in 4, there's a good chance of pulling a whammy off the deck every time you pull up there, right? So what we did is we colored 30% of the whammy cards so that you can remove them from the deck and change the odds from 1 in 4 to 1 in 7.
Oh, okay. That's kind of good if you've got kids playing too, so they don't feel so overwhelmed.
Especially the first time that they play.
Yeah.
And so even though they may not win the game, they'll learn the strategies of the game, and understand what the whammies can do.
Right.
And then they'll start pulling the ones and the twos. And in fact, what will happen is and we've learned this through test playing, is that mom and dad will think that they know better than the deck and forget how to count to 4, where the kids will always remember to count to 4.
That's funny. So that's
Right.
going to be a good one for the whole family too, because it's got elements in there. You can change it depending on how many of those whammy cards you leave in to make it work for your kids. If your kids don't have as high a threshold for the whammy, you can take some out until they get the hang of it.
That's absolutely correct.
That's
right?
perfect.
And everybody can have a lot of fun doing it, and it gets people laughing around the table. And in addition to that, there's some learning skills as far as math, right, for the younger kids. So
that's very good. That's a good game for kids. I like that. I like the idea of that one.
We think it's a good game for adults too.
Yeah. Now those are the 2 games you can make. When can we start seeing games like this? Like when is Gotham and when is Whammy supposed to be out there for people to look at and to purchase?
We are still working on the release schedule, but
Okay.
I would look for Gotham in the first quarter.
Okay.
Right, of 2010.
Yeah.
And then I would look for Whammy in the second quarter. Fun Fair has a very exciting schedule in front of us. We have over 20 games right now.
Wow.
That we have gone through, designed, both within the Mayfair side of things and the Calliope side of things, that make Fun Fair up, right? So we have a good selection of games to choose from and to release over the year. So you can expect 5 or 6 games from Fun Fair within these first 2 years really easy.
Oh, nice. So that's a good release. And now, so if somebody wants to find out more, is there any place they can look? Do you have anything online or anywhere where they can look for more information as your new releases come out and as these games are available?
Not at this point, because we're still trying to get all those details hashed out.
Okay.
I would definitely look forward to that sometime during the first quarter of the year.
Okay, excellent. Well, it sounds like you guys have great plans. I'll be anxious to see what you have coming out, and I really like Whammy. I think I might be getting that one for my kids.
Well, one of the things that I can do is I actually have some decks here. I'll be happy to send you.
Oh, cool. Yes, if you send them, we'll play them and we'll chat them up. I'll tell everybody how it played, how my 8-year-old survived it.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us, Ray. You have a good one.
It's my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Need to add a big unit to your current force and don't feel like painting that many grunts? Or maybe you want to start a new army and really don't have time to paint it up. That's where PaintedFigs.com can help. For over 4 years, their staff with over 20 years of experience in the industry have been providing gamers with high-quality, affordable paint jobs on miniatures for their most popular games, including Flames of War, Warhammer 40,000, Fantasy, War Machine, Hordes, and even a variety of board game pieces. Their full-service packages include the cost of the models themselves at wholesale prices, assembling, painting, and basing. And they now offer a super affordable dipping service starting as low as 99 cents per figure. Because they are able to get the models wholesale, you end up with a package appearing on your doorstep full of ready-to-play models at only a fraction over the retail price. That's why PaintedFigs.com is the official painting service of the D6 generation. Their name says what they do. PaintedFigs.com. High-quality miniature painting at the lowest rates on Earth. Even with shipping. Be sure to let them know the D6 generation sent you.
Hi, and welcome to the second instalment of Nutshell. There are 3 kinds of war games that I gravitate towards. Anything army scale, space games, and anything with robots. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge robot guy, and games which some people classify as big stompy robot games always get my interest. But there seems to be a shortage of big stompy robot games out there. We have Battletech, obviously, and the variety of Link games within it, along with the Heavy Gear family of games and War Dogs from Majestic 12. We've also got the focus of this instalment and various army level games, which include robots, such as Epic and Future War Commander. But considering it's such a diverse mine for potential games, there are relatively few alternatives out there, and I'd love to see more with these machines at their core. So this time around I'm going to talk about Combat Assault Vehicle, more commonly known as CAV from Reaper. There are currently 2.5 editions of CAV. Reaper produced the game in 2001. After this it stayed relatively stable but wasn't promoted as much as they looked at other lines such as Warlord. In 2006 it was updated to fall into line with Reaper's Rage system, and while there were big plans it was clear that the game was not a priority. Currently the game is in the process of being transferred to Talon Games as a 3rd edition called CAV Strike Operations. The 1st edition rules are a very elegant system and utilise CAV walkers, tanks, aircraft and infantry squads all organised into sections of 4. Activation is by section and card driven, with the card determining which player activates while the player decides which section to activate. Each miniature in the activated section can perform a single action drawn from a list such as move, move and fire directly, move and fire indirectly, move and repair, and so on. Firing can be done at any point during movement. The rules appear confusing initially, as they include the effects of target locks, electronic countermeasures, and linked firing. Weapons fire revolves around both the attacker and the defender rolling a dice, adding modifiers and comparing the results, and it's based on a D10. Targets of shooting attacks are also allowed defensive fire as a response. At the heart of the game are the CAV stat cards. These are laid out as a table, with the stats for movement, repairability, armour, power, and other key stats down one side, and a damage track across the top. As the unit takes damage, you read the values from different columns, and this means that your unit will degrade in most aspects as it takes hits, and retiring to repair damage becomes a key issue. In addition, the 1st edition rulebook includes extensive rules for constructing units in the game, building from the ground up and costing out points values. The 2nd edition of the game utilised Reaper's Rage system. This was a system of damage developed for their fantasy game and an evolution of the 1st edition damage track table. This edition kept much of the flavour from 1st edition, but mixed in some key concepts. It emphasised the races in the background more than the previous edition, and this additional restriction left some races without key units, which they could have used from other factions under the previous version. 2nd edition became more reliant on special rules and notes on the unit stats, with factions getting special rules and the key difference between CAV designs leading to different global special rules. Activation happens in the same way as 1st edition, but now a miniature in an activated section can take 2 action, drawn from either a repeatable list or an unrepeatable list, meaning the action cannot be selected twice in the same activation for the same unit. The end result, however, is very similar to the 1st edition. The key differences in this edition come with weapons fire. Here, Reaper introduced range bands, and now the attacker simply rolls a dice in an effort to score over the target's defensive value, and opposed rolls are no longer used. Some of the intricacies of the original system remain, but the 2nd edition was clearly an attempt to streamline the rules design and factor out many of the modifiers. In addition, one casualty of 2nd edition were the construction rules for units. And now, CAV is moving into its 3rd edition. I'm not going to talk much about that at this point, as it's still very much in development, but Reaper have come to the conclusion that they're unable to support the game and are handing it off to Talon Games, who also produce the Rogue Legion miniatures in the same theme. This seems to continue the evolution, drawing inspiration from the activation system and range bands of 2nd edition, while introducing new concepts such as activation points for activations. In general, I'm a big fan of CAV. Perhaps the biggest draw for me are the miniatures. There is a consistent design theme for the units, and while that line has been criticised for having little variation, most of the CAV have 2 legs, 2 arm-mounted weapons, and 1 or 2 carapace-mounted weapons, the CAVs themselves look heavy and industrial, slow combat machines rather than the nimble designs suggested by some miniatures in Battletech or Heavy Gear. The game also handles combined armed forces very well. A CAV can't just ignore an infantry squad. Airships can tear out of the skies and ruin your day, and different units have different uses and strengths. I have to admit that I play 1st edition. I found the rage system wasn't quite as well suited to CAV as it was to Warlord, and the opposed dice rolls and damage track system appealed to me more. The rules present an excellent balance between the detail of having electronic systems, direct and indirect fire, repair systems and other features, with a fairly fast-playing game where you don't need to worry about heat build-up or ammo levels. But I can't talk about CAV without mentioning probably one of the largest pitfalls for anyone getting into the game, and that's the scale of the miniatures. In the near future, the range will be produced in up to 3 different scales. Initially, the calves were produced in N-gauge scale, which is pretty close to 10mm. However, many of the tanks and flyers were downsized to reduce costs. In my opinion, this downsizing was often taken too far, and they looked clearly out of scale compared to other units. However, many of these were revisited and scaled up. But this process was never completed, so some remain at the smaller scale, and some are available in 2 scales. To add confusion to this, when the rules are passed over to Talon Games, the scale will be changed to be closer to 8mm. Most calves will remain at their current miniature height, only the background real-world size will be changed to match to the scale, not the miniature itself. But some will be resized, and some will vanish from the range until new miniatures can be created for them. That said, there is something that Reaper have done incredibly well with Cav, and that's the background. The first edition rulebook dedicates the initial 83 pages to outlining the races, factions, corporations, weapon systems, and other details of the Cav universe. On top of this, they produced 2 supplements for the first edition of the game, called the Journal of Recognition. These 2 books dedicate a double page to nearly every new unit in the game, listing development, battlefield performance, and lots of other details. They're set up to mirror the Jane's guides and are recommended for anyone who has a marginal interest in the game. Finally, there's Milnet, a fan-based support website for the game who've kept the fires burning and done some great development for the Cav 2nd edition themselves. So, that's Cav in a nutshell. Next time I'll tackle something not science fiction based, so until then, good hunting.
Greetings from Myriad Games, your friendly professional game store. We offer a wide variety of family fun for everyone. With our Anytime Open Play program, you can try out hundreds of different games from our massive game library right here in store. And coming this year, our new Game Share program, which works a lot like Netflix, but for all your favorite unplugged games. Our MVPs will have an opportunity to participate in an alpha test of Game Share. So if you're interested in trying it out, sign up today. We've expanded our MVP program, offering steel, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and titanium MVP memberships. MVPs receive a wide variety of benefits, including bonus Myriad money, access to our new achievements program, complimentary open play passes, free shipping, and much more. The higher your level, the more bonuses you'll receive. For more details, visit myriadgames.com/MVP. Thanks for shopping Myriad Games, your friendly professional game store.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility,
And
Bum,
blah, blah,
bum,
blah.
bum, bum.
Provide for the common defense.
Bum, bum, bum.
promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty
Bubbo, bubbo.
to ourselves and our posterity.
Bubbo, bubbo.
And establish this Constitution.
All right. Enough of that then.
Did you know the words to that?
How do you not know the
How
words
do you
to that?
not
Come
know?
on.
How do you grow up in America and not know the words?
Right.
Never heard that song in my entire life.
Really? You never watched School Let's Rock as a kid?
Yeah.
OMG, dude.
Junction, what's
Right.
your function?
Right.
Come on.
Remember, I'm just a bill.
Well,
Oh, I'm just a bill
as the
and
song may have suggested, we are now going to review the Founding Fathers. Very
We hold
interesting
these
game.
truths to be self-evident, that not all games are created equal.
Right. That's the Declaration of Independence, though, which is a different part. That's before
Well,
this.
that's what they're coming up with.
Right. No, we're coming up with the Constitution,
Oh,
actually.
Declaration of Independence,
Right.
right.
Right. And this game is published in 2010, brand new, by Jolly Roger Games.
Army matey.
This is not their first publication. They've got other games to their name. You can check out Board Game Geek for all those things. Designed by who, Craig?
Christian Leonard and Jason Matthews put this together for us.
Right. And this is a 3 to 5 player constitutional romp.
Romp, indeed.
Ages 13 and up, they say. 1 to 2 hours. I think that's a little optimistic. With practice, maybe. Craig, Rafe, you played the most. Have you any games get in under 2 hours for this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Good. I mean, the first time I think took over 2, but probably inside 1 or 2 hours. The MSRP on this one, a little fuzzy. I think it's between $55 and $60.
Why the fuzz?
I could find it for different prices and no one had the exact MSRP up there.
Gotcha. All right.
But I found it it's probably around that price. So $60 would probably be the most you pay for it.
All righty.
Lots of interesting components. We'll get to those in a bit. And I don't think $60 is too much. The theme, of course, is Rafe, what is the theme?
You play, you're voting on different bills.
No,
and
all right.
You're voting.
That's
and
not
you
the
get
theme.
This, I don't like to read what Russ says.
I know, but that's not the theme.
Well, we're not voting on bills even. So what you're actually doing is...
you are.
No, you're not.
No, articles, maybe?
These are not bills.
Oh, articles.
Right. See, this is a historical game.
I haven't even played it.
So terminology is kind of important here.
Yeah.
So it's actually, you're playing a key delegate at the Philadelphia Constitutional Convention. What year, Craig?
1783, 1787, 1789.
Right. At the Constitutional Convention. And
I believe, Russ, that the Constitutional Convention was held in 1787.
See, apparently Geekly McNerdigan knew that.
Yes, Geekly knew that, and I did not. So I never said I was as smart as him.
Your goal here, this is not a co-op game. Your goal here is to emerge as the true father of the Constitution. And throughout the game, you're going to earn points representing that achievement. And you're going to earn points in a variety of ways, such as casting state delegates. You're going to get in the committee room. You're going to try to get loyal supporters. And then there's also an end game point, so we'll get to it in a little bit. But basically, you're building the Constitution, and while you're building it, you're trying to be the delegate who has the most involvement in that process. And be kind of considered as the main head honcho daddy of the Constitution.
So that's part of the theme too. Is you're like one of the main delegates. And you're kind of role-playing, in my view, you're role-playing that guy and how he marshals the different people to score points.
Right. All right. What are your thoughts on the theme there, Rafe?
When described to me, and I actually heard about this game on Game On with Cody and John, I was like, what? A game about voting on the articles? Now, I play Agricola. That game has got to be boring. And then Brian had the game, and I played the game, and oh man, is it fun! And I don't know if it's just our game group. I actually never played with Russ. Russ is famous for this, for role playing and voices. And we just were using voices like, "You, sir, I think your vote is unconstitutional."
Well, it couldn't really be unconstitutional at that point in history.
Right.
Well, I never said I was
a constitutional scholar,
or facile with the law in any way.
Well,
I'm not a constitutional scholar. That's a whole.
See, I'm on the opposite spectrum. This game totally captured me on theme because I'm a huge American history buff, and so I really wanted to try it out. And I've had my eyes on it for a while. So what I was worried about, though, was would the play be boring itself? Would it be boring? 'Cause I don't think politics is necessarily boring. It's certainly more exciting than farming. But I was curious if the game mechanics would be boring. But let's get into that and see what we think, if it is actually boring or not. So,
it's not.
Well, Craig, before we go on, what is your thoughts?
For the record, I thought it sounded extremely dry and had no interest in playing.
Okay, so there we go. Mm-hmm. So let's move on. And let's see what happens here. So what's in the box? Rafe, what happens when you open a box, this size box?
Well, when you open this one, it sounds like this. And then it goes... Because it's really old.
Oh, it's old.
Okay. Well, in the box, you get a nice full-color booklet. It's 19 pages, this is going to be a theme for me. Don't be intimidated, because there's really only... The first 3 pages are literally history and overview. Then pages 4 through 12, which is 8 pages of the book, are actually gameplay. And pages 13 through 19 are more historical content lists. Every single delegate, who they were, what they did, what they were famous for. So you really can get the meat of the history behind the game. But only 8 pages are actually rules. So it's not that much rule book.
And you know me, I don't like complicated rules. You will, hearing it told, you're going to be like, that doesn't sound good at all. But it just takes about 1 round to get a gist. Not to win the game, but to get a gist of what to do.
Right. So once you get past the rule book, there's this very, very nice, actually looking full-color game board that kind of begs the question, how does this all work as soon as you see it? It's laid out as sort of a top-down view with the roof off of Philadelphia Independence Hall. There's a large area for the committee room. There's a debate floor, which is sort of a tracking area. There's then a little Liberty Bell section with the staircase is a scoring tracker for all the players to keep track of whose points are where. Then there's a main assembly room, and this is sort of where the voting actually happens. There's a bunch of desks. Some of the desks are green, and some of the desks are red, representing voting for or against whatever article's up for vote. And then there's a state voting tracker also, which is a quick and easy way to see what the states currently stand on a particular issue. And then there's a card draw pool area. And the board really manages a lot, but it's very simple, and it still looks good while doing it. What do you think, Rafe?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a good-looking board and a good-looking game.
It's good-looking, and again, you might be a little overwhelmed coming up to the game, not knowing the game, and what are you guys doing? Oh, we're voting on articles. Well, what's this over? I don't get it. But when you sit down, it becomes very simple.
So in addition to the board and the book, you get 5 player reference cards, which are going to be one card for each of the different main, what they call planner delegates. These are the delegates the players can actually play, more of them in a bit. Then there's 55 delegate cards. This is the only real deck of cards in the game. So it's not a lot. There's not like 30 different decks of cards to manage. Just one deck of cards. It's the delegates.
And they're the good size cards.
They're the normal playing card size, good quality.
Very good quality.
On each of these cards, you're going to have a little on the front. You're going to see a nice portrait of the delegate, a little fluff historical background on the delegate.
Which is awesome
all
fun
that
to read.
Really matters is the state he's from, the faction he favors, and which is just an icon. And then any special rules for that delegate that you can use as a special play. Now, in addition to the 50 normal delegates, there's also 5 planar delegates that match the delegate you're playing, and these are special. They have a quill on them representing your particular person. So, for example, Alexander Hamilton is one of those delegates. He's got a special card in there.
That's kind of how I think of as you're the main dude.
Right. You're playing.
He's really just a card, but
that's who you're playing. Right.
That's who you're playing.
In addition to all that, you also get voting chits with these little, either they have a check mark on one side for for or a red mark on the other side for against. There's also 16 debate tokens, and these are just little cardboard discs that represent the different factions in the game. More about those in a little while. And then there's these wooden scoring tokens. So each of the main planners that the players play are different colors, and there's a scoring token for each color, so that's how you keep track of the Liberty Bell, who's doing well. And then also, there are 40 of these wooden influence markers that are wooden rectangles that you put stickers on that match the portraits of the main planners. So there's going to be a number of these wooden tokens for each person in their person's color. And these are basically your workers for worker placement.
These are your meeples.
Right. They don't look like meeples, though. They look like little squares.
No, they don't look like meeples. They're squares with a sticker on them, but these are your workers.
There's also 12 of these double-sided cardboard articles, and these are the things you're actually voting on. They actually look like written paragraphs from the Constitution, so as they get into play, you're going to sort of build the Constitution up from these articles, which is kind of neat. And they're double-sided because each article could be voted one way or the other. So one side is the historically accurate way the founders went, but you could vote and go the non-historical way as well.
And that really has nothing to do with it's more fluff.
Nope. All that really matters with these things is on each side of them, there's a different faction icon. And what you care about is which faction icon is up. That's all you really care about.
So when I heard the review, I thought, oh, am I reading this paragraph and have to somehow know, I want this to be part of the Constitution? No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just a way to score points.
At its heart,
writing is fluff.
This game is really a very simple worker placement game. Don't let its theme and the amount of history overwhelm you. That part comes as a bonus, really. The game itself is really straightforward. What do you think about the components, Rafe, having played it a few times?
I really like it. The game board looks really cool. It's got that kind of old parchment-y looking stuff. It's not cluttered. Good wooden discs. I think it's worth $60 component-wise, no problem.
Craig, have you seen it played?
I have. Yes, but I don't remember very much at all. I do remember that it all looks very period. All the artwork and everything looks very period.
Yeah, and like the paragraph tokens are nice and thick. They're definitely not flimsy cutouts. I like them when they're thick and substantial.
All right, so moving right along. Setup for the game is pretty straightforward. First of all, there's the
milkshake.
All you're going to do is you're going to pass out the planner reference boards to the players. Now, depending on the player count, will dictate which planners, main delegates, are involved in the game. So in a 3-player game, you're going to have Madison, Patterson, and Sherman involved. If you're going to go 4 players, you're going to add Pickney, and if you're going to go 5 players, then Hamilton's in. Right?
I didn't realize that. I thought that was all random.
No, it's controlled because each have different powers, and you're going to shuffle these up and pass them out.
This is funny.
Okay,
they have different powers.
Different powers of Americanism. Constitutional thing. So each player gets the delegate card. So you get your card, and then you're going to get the special delegate card that matches your delegate. So remember, there's one. You get the bigger one that's your playing card. Right. Then you got a smaller one that's a normal delegate size. You get that one also that matches your delegate. And then you're going to get 3 of your wooden influence markers that match your planner. So if I'm playing Hamilton, I think Hamilton's purple. I'll get 3 of these little purple guys with purple rectangles with Hamilton's sticker on top. Now, you can get more of these during the course of the game, but you start with 3. And these are your workers, and you're going to want more of these because they're going to limit what you can do per turn. So after we've got all of our, basically you pick your player, you get the bits that go with that player. After you do that, you're going to shuffle the delegate cards, put them aside. You're going to deal 4 delegate cards to each player, and each player is going to keep 2 and discard 2. Okay? So basically your starting hand size is going to be 3 delegates. The delegate that matches your planner. So if I'm playing Hamilton, I have Hamilton. And then you're going to get 2 other random delegates. But you're going to be able to pick those 2 from the 4 you're initially dealt. So you're going to have a little bit of control over what you start with. Now again, for new players, don't worry about all the fancy card text. What you're really trying to get is, for the most basic strategy of the game, you're trying to get delegates from the same state, right? So work for that, but then you can work for symbols later. But that's how I started playing the game, was focusing on getting guys from the same state.
Oh, that's interesting. I did the complete opposite. I did pay attention to the text on the card to be able to use the special powers.
Okay, now there are some special powers too that are pretty neat.
And I think I might have won my first game.
All right,
I played like 5 by now.
So you can deal. So you get that. So and then you're going to take 3 of the cards from the deck, and you're going to place them face down on these special 3 slots that are on the board. Okay. Now what's interesting is this is called the draw pool, and you're putting 3 of them face down. You might think, well, if they're face down, why put them in a special draw pool? You can't see what they are. Well, actually, the back of the cards always show the faction and the state the delegate's associated with. So from the back of the card, you still know what faction and state. You don't know the power of the individual. What that means also, if you think about this, is whenever someone's holding a hand of cards fanned out, you know which states are in their pocket. You kind of know if I'm holding 3 Massachusetts delegates in my hand, you kind of know I kind of have the Massachusetts vote locked up.
Yeah.
So throughout the game, remember, each state gets 1 vote. So much of the game is trying to get the control, get that 1 vote from a key state get things the way you want them to go. Okay, so that's setting the game up. Oh, then also there's a couple more small things. We're going to draw 2 articles. We're going to shuffle all the articles, which are these cardboard things like parts of the Constitution. 4 of them are going to be drawn randomly and put face up, and that's historical. Okay, this historical side up. Remember, there's one side that's got a symbol that's going to be regular color, and the other side's going to have a red ring on it. That's a non-historical side. For the first 4, they're historical. This is just a random thing. It kind of makes gameplay a little more interesting. It's interesting. The rulebook notes that the Constitutional Convention didn't start from scratch. It actually built upon the Virginia Plan. And so these 4 being already voted on are kind of representing the fact that that's where the start of the Constitution was. Because it's random, it gives you a little replayability. You won't always have the same starting conditions. And then you're going to take 2 of the articles, and this is going to be the starting things up for vote. So one of the articles goes in the assembly room, and in the assembly room there's a big desk there, and you put the article there, and the other article is going to go in the committee room. So one article is up for vote in the assembly, and one article is in the committee room. Okay? And both of them start off historical side up. All right? And remember, again, you can read the articles, and it's awesome to read them and see the different things, but really all you care about is the symbol on the article. All right? And that's setup. So setup is actually pretty quick. You pick your players, shuffle some cards up, lay the articles out for starting conditions, you're ready to rock, right? Pretty quick setup, right, Rafe?
Yep. And then I got a overview here.
All right, go ahead.
So the way I thought of the game to begin with, and we're going to go over each of these in details, is so this article is sitting there in the main assembly room. Mm-hmm. And the main way to get points is you're going to vote, and you're going to vote with your hand of cards, and you're going to say South Carolina, Georgia, and New Jersey. And you may put your New Jersey card, and you're going to vote for the assembly room and vote for the article. That's one way to get points, as we will describe. But then, being a good Euro game, Russ might have that all locked up because he's lucked out, and he's got enough delegates, which we'll get into, to kind of lock up, like, I can go, well, there's no way I can beat him to get points. Well, then there's other ways to get points, which we'll get into. One of them is the assembly room, one's on the debate floor, and there's another way with if you flip them or not, you can kind of reverse the points.
Right.
And then Craig, your hand of cards let you be the spoiler. So that's another way. You might have a hand of cards that totally reverses the votes. You might have hands of cards that say, haha, you think you're winning on the debate track, but no, you're not. That's what's fun, is you're never really out. We'll talk about that.
And the cards are, there's 2 main resources in the game. There's your workers, which are they call them the influence tokens. These are the wooden rectangles. But also there's your I would say your wooden rectangles are your workers, and your cards are your resource. And your cards are 2 kinds of resources, because you can either play the cards based on the state and faction, okay, to vote with, or you can play the cards as their power text on the bottom. So you got to decide whether I want to use the power of the card or do I want to use the card as a vote in the room. We'll get into that in a second. So,
and that's saying it in words. It's like, oh, okay. But when you're playing, you're like, oh, I want to use South Carolina because I need that vote, but oh, I love the text.
Right.
So it's a really interesting choice you have to
And your hand is only 3 cards, so you don't have a lot of guys to deal with. So let's start into the turn. The turn's pretty simple, starting with Madison. Madison always goes first. Whoever got Madison is the first player, and then it goes clockwise for Madison. The game's going to be played 4 rounds, but what defines a round is sort of flexible based on what happens on the board. But each player we're just going to go around the table and go around until a round ends, and then we're going to do some end round stuff. I'm going to go around again. When it's a player's turn, you can do this. Are actually very quick. You can do one of the following things in your turn. You can declare a vote, you can speak in debate, you can enact an event, or you can snub delegates. That's all you can do. So you do one of those things, not all 4, just one. After you do it, you're going to draw your hand back to 3 from the drawing pool. So remember, there's a pool of 3 cards face down. Yeah. So you know, and if you see there's a couple guys you really want, like more Massachusetts guys, maybe you got to get one of those in their hand. So you're going to draw your hand back to 3, and the pool gets replenished at the end of your turn, and then it's the next player's turn. Okay?
Yep.
So again, declare. So what do these things do? Because obviously the meat of the game is here. The most complicated thing you can do, and requires the most explanation, is declaring a vote. But even that's pretty simple.
Uh-huh.
So remember, the main part of the board, most of the board, is dedicated to the assembly area. The assembly area really has 3 things to look at. First of all, there's the giant long desk with the article on top of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's a bunch of green desks and a bunch of red desks.
Right.
The green desks represent votes in favor of the article.
Okay.
Historically accurate article.
And now are these desks like the size of a card?
Yes.
Okay.
Cards go on top. That's exactly right. You got it. And there's a bunch of red desks, which means you're voting against them. What you can do is I can play one or more of my delegates from my hand into the assembly room on either a green desk or a red desk.
Uh-huh.
The trick is they have to all be from the same state.
Oh.
Okay. So basically I'm saying, as to get to race role playing, the delegation from Massachusetts says yay to this measure, and you put your however many guys you got onto one of the green desks, and when you do that, how many cards? So I might have.
Now here's the one question: can the delegates from Malastair declare a vote of no confidence?
No, maybe not. So let's say I have 2 Massachusetts delegates in my hand. I might take 2 of the Massachusetts delegates, put them on a green desk, and I also put one of my wooden influence tokens. I only have 3 of them in the beginning on them to show it's my play. So that shows that Russ or Alexander Hamilton or whoever has said that 2 delegates from Massachusetts are voting in favor of this article.
Right.
Okay. That would be my end of my turn. Boom. And then Rafe might say, well, yes, the delegation from, we can't be Rhode Island, we know that. Right. The delegation from Virginia says nay. And he might put down one guy from Virginia with his marker in there. That's his turn. We're both doing votes. Now, there's a couple extra rules about this, okay?
Okay.
As I said, all the delegates can be from the same state because you're basically one state, one vote. Also, when you do this, you put a little vote chit tracker along the edge of the assembly room. There's each of the state flags involved in the Constitutional Convention. And remember, there's little cardboard chits. One's got a check mark and one's got a red X. You put it under that state's flag. Why do you do that? You don't really have to do that, but by doing that, as the vote progresses, you can quickly tell which states haven't voted yet.
Okay.
And kind of be looking for, we haven't seen anybody yet from New Hampshire, so if I got a New Hampshire guy, I can get in there with one vote.
Yeah.
The problem is, once a state has voted, I can't make the same state vote again. So if I've got one guy from Massachusetts and you've put 2 down on a vote, I can't override that vote or add to it. It's your vote.
Yeah.
But if you put one guy from Massachusetts down and later it comes to my turn and I've got 2 guys from Massachusetts, I can reverse the vote from Massachusetts because I have more guys in my pocket.
More than that's already down.
Yes, so you can bring a bigger delegation to the convention and override the other vote.
The only reason why you're doing that is because you get points, and I think you get if the measure passes, depending on how many delegates, which are cards, you get points. That's how you move up on the score tracker. Oh, I got 2 cards down plus my influence marker. 3 points, I believe.
There's a couple different reasons that we'll get to as to why you want to vote to go a certain way.
Right.
But you definitely want to be on the winning side of a vote. Now, as your play progresses, if you keep declaring a vote and you have enough wooden guys, you can have more than one state delegate in there on one side of the debate. Okay. You can have guys on both sides of the debate if you want to. You could put a delegation from Virginia down on one side and a delegation from Massachusetts on the other.
Okay.
And this doesn't come clear until you play. But, Craig, you might be like, well, why would I vote nay? Well, you might have a card in your hand that says get double points if it's a anti-federalist bill and it votes nay. You see what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's what makes you might want to do that.
And Rafe brought up the factions because there's one other little faction rule here. When you're playing your delegates onto the table, they have to be the same state, but also, and that state can't have been played yet unless you've got more delegates than already in play.
Yep.
And if you do that, the other guy loses his delegates and he gets his marker back. But the other rule is remember, each delegate has a faction symbol on there. What are the factions? There's the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists.
Okay.
Those are two against and pro. And then there's the large state and small state factions.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a large state doesn't care about the Federalist thing. It's just they just don't like small states. And the small states don't care about the Anti-Federalists. They just don't like large states. So it doesn't matter. Remember I told you there were symbols on all the articles. Well, each of these factions have a symbol, and each of the delegates have a symbol. And you can never play a delegate against his symbol if the article's up for debate. Okay? So if the article up is pro-Federalist, I can put a Federalist delegate on the yay side, but I can't put him on the nay side.
Gotcha.
So if I've got two guys from Massachusetts, but one's a Federalist, I can't put him on the nay side, even if I want to for overall strategy. So there's two things that happen here. The delegates work together, but they also have some principles that you can't override.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of interesting.
Those are the good old days. Of
Right.
politics.
Well, even some, right. And the fluff is, again, they won't go against ideals, and each state only gets one vote. So that's really the whole voting, the whole main delegation. That's the most complicated step, and it's really not that complicated. You put some guys down, put your marker on it, you're done.
It sounds good.
Now, the other
and that's going to be going on throughout. That's not like I call a vote and now the vote goes until we're done.
That's going to end the round. Remember, I told you there's 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So once one side or the other fills up, so all the red desks fill up or all the green desks fill up.
But
as soon as that happens,
while the rest of the game is being played.
So I'll put some guys on a red desk. You'll put guys on a green desk.
Is that the only way that a round will end?
Yes, that.
So we keep going around taking turns until that happens.
Yes.
Okay.
But instead of putting guys on a desk, well, we get to him. He's a special rule. So exactly. But instead of putting guys on a desk, I could choose to do one of these other 3 options.
Right, yes.
So here's one of the other things I could do. So while we're going around trying to get the vote figured out, I could instead decide to go speak in a debate.
Okay.
How that works is I'm going to discard one or more delegate cards of a particular faction. So in the debate room, it's just a track. And it's got the 4 different faction symbols on it. The Federalist, the Anti-Federalist, the small states, and the big states. I could discard 2 big state delegates with the logo on there. And that would mean I could take one of my wooden influence tokens and put it 2 up on the track there.
Oh, okay. The number of cards you
discarded.
Okay.
And if the round continues, I can discard more than one thing up there. Okay. That's a big deal because at the end of the round, I'm going to get basically counters, basically saying that I'm a big proponent of this particular faction.
Gotcha.
Which is an end game thing. So that's another way you can do. But again, I'm using one of my wooden discs for that, my wooden squares. And so I'm using a wooden square every time I put a vote down. I'm using a wooden square every time I have a different debate going on. So there's a limit to what you can do.
Okay.
The end game for that, Craig, is analogous to like Carcassonne when you're placing farmers.
The farmers.
Yep.
It's kind of that kind of mechanic.
Okay.
And again, you have all these texts that do all sorts of things. It'll say, you play the text, it'll say, oh, move your guy up the debate track 1. And then, you're ahead of other people. And then there's ways to switch the debate so you win and get more points. So there's all sorts of stuff going on.
And speaking of the text that Rafe just gave a bunch of examples of, that's the third thing you can choose. So remember, you can declare a vote, which is put you guys on a table. You can speak in a debate, which is discard some cards, put them on the track, or you can enact an event. And all enact an event means is you've got a card in your hand that's got some cool text on the bottom that lets you do something really neat. And so instead of taking one of these other actions, you're going to say, I'm using my card, and here's what it says I do. Okay?
Yeah.
And that could be all kinds of crazy stuff. It can be you reverse the current vote, and you flip the thing over and flip the sides everybody's on.
Oh, really?
It can be crazy stuff. And what's cool about that is when you see the delegate that has that on there, you're like, why does that guy? And then you read the fluff, and there's actually like a historical example of it happening. That's
It's similar to his real life fluff.
And that's what makes the history come interesting. It's like, why does this happen? How could that be? And you kind of learn by.
Now, is fluff the right term when we're talking about historical figures?
Not really.
Not really.
I guess it sort of is because the mechanics of the game don't depend on
in a normal game. It would be fluff.
Right.
Right.
Another one is the George Washington card, which ends the round, his fluff text or his action text. There's another one that's like where gerrymandering came from, and I forget what he actually does. I actually remember the historical thing, but I can't remember what he does. There's ones that are like if you're on the nay side and you have the anti-federalists score extra points.
Right.
There's move people off the debate track. All sorts of
crazy rule breaking.
Yeah.
Throws the game.
Now, is that frustrating at all?
I don't think so. I think, as Rafe said, it keeps you in the game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I was playing ignoring the text, but then the text sort of made fun things happen. It was really kind of fun to see the historical context of it. So like it interjects sort of the randomness of politics into the thing.
Okay.
Like there's one where
you don't like games that have that random element that can mess with your strategy.
Well, I think it's enough where you can. It feels part of the game enough that it doesn't bother me. Like there's somewhere like one of your delegates has to leave because he gets caught in some scandal at home and he loses. So things like that. All the normal politic things happen.
Right.
And that's where the role-playing seems to come in. Because then I've got the card that lowers Russ down on the debate track and makes me ahead, let's say. So I'm like, I am tired, sir, of this debate. You play the card, and he bumps down, and he's like, oh.
What's great, too, about Washington is that Washington ends the round immediately, and wherever the vote stands is where it ends up.
Okay.
So if you're slightly ahead by one on the nays and you want the nay to go through,
you want George to stand
but
up
you
for
see
you.
someone holding it, George walks in, gentlemen, need we waste any more time on this bill? Let's just get it done, or not a bill, as article. So it's really cool. Now, the last thing you can do is really, really simple. It's called snub delegates, and all that is you can discard the delegates, some of your hand, and draw new. So that's the last hand management tool. Yeah. So really, there's not many things you can do. You can put some guys in the voting room. You can speak in the debate. You can enact an event. Or you can discard your hand and get some more cards.
Yeah, it does seem very simple.
That's it. Now, where it gets interesting is what happens at the end of a turn, so end of a round. So you're playing along, and assuming George doesn't show up, the round ends when one of the two sections of the tables fills up in the big assembly room, either all the green or all the red. When that happens, round's over, and you got to do some round end activity. So the first thing you're going to do is resolve what happens in the assembly chamber. And this is what Rafe was trying to describe earlier about getting points. This is pretty simple. So basically, players with any delegates on the winning side score 2 points for each delegate who has the matching faction icon of the article. Remember, the articles are the symbols on the matching faction. Yeah. And you get 1 point for not matching.
Gotcha.
Okay? So remember, you can't vote again. You can't vote out of phase. So basically, that means that if it was a Federalist thing, any Federalists score you 2 if you're on the winning side, and anybody else scores you 1.
Right. Small state or big state.
Right. Exactly. Right. Boom. The losing side gets no points here, but they put their and then basically once the winning side scores, they get their incentive wooden tokens back, and all the guys go to the discard pile.
Okay.
Boom. The losing side, this is interesting. The losing side, their delegates get discarded, but their wooden tokens, influence tokens, move to the committee room. Okay.
Yeah.
Where big things happen in committee.
Gotcha.
Now remember, when we first put the articles out for the turn, we put one in the assembly room and one in the committee room, and all this time nothing's been happening in the committee room.
Right.
Well, now there's this other article in the committee room. And what happens is that now we're going to resolve the committee room. Okay. And how that works is, before we do that, the last thing that happens is the article then that we just voted on is resolved and put in the resolved article section. We started the game with 4 resolved.
Yeah.
And this one, it's going to go black side up if it was voted yay. And if it was voted nay, the red side goes up, which is a non-historical case.
Yeah.
Okay? And those are fun to read if you're really historical buff to see what the other option was. And then in committee, what happens is the player with the most markers in committee. So this is the interesting thing. Even if you're on the losing side in the assembly, if you'll have a lot of guys in committee if you got a lot of guys involved in the nay vote or the losing vote. The guy with the most markers in committee gets a score equal to his markers in committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's scoring victory points there. But if it's tie, nobody scores.
Okay.
And if someone did score there, they get to take that other article and they can flip it to one side or the other and put it as resolved.
Okay.
If no one scored, it always goes to the historical side resolved.
Okay.
So basically, by getting into committee and winning committee, you get some bonus points and you get one article you get to flip.
Yeah.
And it'll become clear later why the article's results sort of matter.
Okay.
It's an end game.
It's the farmer thing.
It's the farmer thing, and it's the end game thing. So
now,
that's
there's
that.
one more thing we should sort of add at this point.
Well, there's debates also.
If you're following along, you start with 3 influence markers.
Yep.
So if you placed one on a yay vote and you put one on the debate track, and for whatever reason you wanted to put one on the nay vote, maybe because you wanted to end up in the committee room, well, now you've run out of influence markers.
Right.
You can't go on another track for debate. You can't add another yay or nay vote.
Right.
So Russ, I forget, is it on your character's special power?
How it works is, remember those delegate cards in the deck. Each player has a delegate card that is their planner delegate. So if I'm playing Alexander Hamilton's actually an Alexander Hamilton card, and it's got a quill on the back of it.
Yeah.
If that card's special ability is get another influence token.
Okay.
So you got to spend one of your turns to use that ability, but that gets you more tokens.
And here's what's cool, Craig. When it pops up when you're cycling through the deck, you're going from the deck and putting the 3 face up.
Yeah.
When Alexander Hamilton comes, you get that card. Other people can't get your card.
Good.
And keep
I
it
was
from
wondering
you.
about that. Yeah.
In fact, immediately goes to your hand as a bonus.
And he counts as a bonus card. He's not one of your third. So you actually get to drop to 4 at that point.
So the third thing that happens at the end of the round, we resolved the assembly, figured out who get the bonus points for the winning vote. We resolved committee, figured out if the losing vote guys who got the points for that.
So in committee, so that article is also resolved and it goes to the resolve pile.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
2 articles resolve a round.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
it's a 4-round game.
Yeah.
12 articles, 4 go in and begin with. That's how you get your
Gotcha.
4 rounds. The last thing is resolve debates. So remember how debates work. Debates is just a tracker, and during the round, people were discarding cards and putting their influence token on the debate thing. The guy with the highest on each track gets a token that matches that faction. So if I was the highest one on the big state faction, I would get a big state faction token.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
This represents how much of a politician how much influence I have in that particular faction, how much of a pro guy I am in that faction.
Gotcha.
And those matter in the end game. So basically, you want all these debate tokens you've been collecting throughout the game to match the big winners on the articles.
Gotcha.
So if mostly big state articles got through, and you've got mostly big state tokens, that's going to give bonus points at the end of the game.
All right.
So you want to kind of forecast where you think the Constitution is going and get that, and be that guy that was involved in everything.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So that's what that is. That's resolving debates. And then after that, you're going to resume play. All that means is we're going to clear those little state chit markers that were marching which states voted where because the vote's over now. You're going to draw 2 new articles, put one in the assembly and one in the committee. And the next player who's going to go after the guy who ended the last round, continue play. Okay?
Yep.
That's the whole game. And you
that's
play
the whole game.
You play for 4 of those rounds, and it's easy to remember because all the articles eventually are resolved.
Yeah.
And it ends, and basically you score. And how scoring works is you've been scoring throughout the game because you've been scoring when you're winning a vote. You've been scoring in committee sometimes. So that little bell tracker's been keeping track of your score there. But there's final scoring. And how that works is at the very, very end, okay, you look at the articles and you divide the articles up that were voted on by the different faction symbols. And you look at the faction that has the most symbols.
Yep.
Okay. And then the player who has the most tokens from debate that match that symbol gets 5 more points.
Gotcha.
If there's a tie, both players get maximum points. Then the guy who has got the most symbols for the second place one gets 4, 3, and 2. Okay. So what you're trying to do is be the guy who, if let's say big states was the big winner, most of the articles come up big state.
Yeah.
You want to be the guy that has the most big state debating. So debating is important for the end game. You can ignore debating, but if you think you're going to score majorly by voting, but it's like Carcassonne. You can ignore farming, but it probably don't want to, right?
Gotcha.
All right.
I agree with that.
And at the end, the guy with the most influence is the winner. And if there's a tie, they say, revel in the success of creating a more perfect union. So that's pretty much the game.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about scoring.
Now, I'm
strategies.
curious, Craig, at this point.
Yeah.
Does it sound just utterly confusing? Or does it
no, it doesn't
fun,
sound
or does
confusing, but then it doesn't sound fun either.
Right, right. That's how I felt when I heard it too.
But yeah, I mean, I saw you play, so I've seen you having fun. So I know there's fun in that
There's
box
fun to
somewhere.
be had, right?
It does. It does.
But it does seem like an elegant. It seems like a Euro game to me.
It's a very elegant Euro game that has a really nice theme.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you have to be. I think there needs to be some desire to like the theme,
Right.
And I think you have to like Euro style card games because it's basically one of those. Some strategies I've noticed through my play, and Rafe, you can back me up or disagree with me if you want. Obviously, scoring throughout the game is key. I don't think you can only play for the end game. The 5 points bonus is just as enough. You really got to be getting those votes and in committee, and it's a hard decision sometimes to try to figure out: am I gonna lose the vote, so try to win the committee thing, or should I go debate this round, or how should I do it? And like all worker placement games, it feels like you don't know where to. You have too much you want to do and not enough resources to do it, which is just classic worker placement.
Yep.
Yeah, see, that frustrates me. So I don't know.
And what I like about it's really interesting is you got to do a little bit of forecasting. You got to sort of figure out, and this is sort of where it feels like politics to me, because you got to try to figure out where the political wind is blowing and how the Constitution is going to roll out. Is it going to be mostly big state? Is it going to be mostly small state? Is it going to be mostly federalist or anti-federalist? And if I can get a good pulse on that, then I can work the debate to my favor. Or am I going to do it the right way, quote unquote, and debate heavily for a particular thing and drive the vote and do it the real way, right? Which is I debate and I also drive the vote and get
You're the reason.
I'm the reason.
Those are,
or I just harumph a lot and pretend I'm all in that right camp just to get the political fair win.
Gotcha.
So that kind of feels like politics to me.
And Russ, you haven't played too many games, but by the 4th or 5th game, those of us that have played it, which are Dave and Brian, we were actually doing metagaming.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So New Hampshire comes up in the draw pile. Dave goes to reach for New Hampshire. I'm like, whoa. If you let me have New Hampshire, I will.
That's not
I'll give you
metagaming,
this
is
debate.
it?
Right.
And he'd be like, "Well, you can't just give me the debate." I'm like, "I could have George Washington."
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Right. I think that's part of the fun. There's a lot of
it sounded.
give and
It was
take.
very political.
Right. I like that part. And I have to stress, I was so overwhelmed when I first played this game. I felt like there was so much going on because I was trying to absorb the history and the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I think you got to step back and just go for the mechanics first. and just think about it in terms of symbols and icons, and not worry
you
about
gotta
history.
play like me. You just have to dive in and go,
Right.
I'm going to vote yay because I want to see what it does.
But you can't help learn the history because all of a sudden you're like, why does this card work this way? And you read the fluff, it's like, oh, that is really neat.
Once you get into the groove, you've got time to read the
So
fluff
definitely
and
read
stuff.
the fluff.
Yeah,
It's
story.
interesting, I think. So what are our final thoughts on this game?
I want to go first.
Well, before we do that,
Oh, wait,
we should...
we're not rating yet. We're not rating yet.
Right. So
Final thoughts? Okay.
Yeah, well, we're going to rate at the end of our final thoughts, but I think we need to describe our D6G rating system. So, Craig, in the style of Benjamin Franklin,
Okay.
please describe the patent-pending D6G rating system.
Well, we the people, in order to form a more perfect rating system, decided that what we wanted to do was speak to the people. And what we wanted to create was something that all gamers could get behind, and the delegates from the Euro gamers, and the delegates from the war gamers, and the delegates from the card gamers, and of course we snubbed all the delegates from the MMORPGs, but basically what we want to do is come to a conclusion where there is a rating system that works for everyone. And what we've come across is we are called the D6 generation. Thus, we have tied our rating system to this most fundamental polyhedron, the D6. If we say, for example, this game is a 4+, it means that your average gamer, be he big or small state, federalist or anti-federalist, he will like this game on a 4, 5, or 6 result. On a 1, 2, or 3 result, he is benighted, one of the unwashed masses that cannot fully appreciate the mechanics of the game. If you don't like the game and you think most gamers won't like it, a 6+ would indicate that. And if you think this game is the cat's pajamas, that's right, I said the cat's pajamas, the bee's knees, if you will.
Like lightning to a kite.
Exactly. 2+ with a reroll. Nice. And I'm not just saying this because I invented the potbelly stove and gave away the patent so everybody could be warm.
And remember, he who is willing to sacrifice a little bit of fun for a little bit of mechanics deserves neither.
There you go. That's not Benjamin Franklin.
No, that's Wakeland. All right.
And should be said with more anger.
Right. And so now we should go on to our discussion. Rafe, you want to go first? What are your final thoughts?
I want to go first before all the thoughts escape me. For my rating, I find the juxtaposition of the most boring description for a game on the planet to be juxtaposed.
It's still Agricola.
With the most fun to be amazing.
So this is back to this game is way more fun than it should be, sort of?
Yes, absolutely. From the way it's described.
Yeah.
These, I marvel. I get it when you make a Battlestar Galactica game. I get it when you make a game about farming. But these two guys...
Whoa, just stop. Just stop.
I get it. When you make a game about watching paint dry.
How does farming sound more exciting than politics to you? Seriously.
I don't know.
Seriously.
Because I want to raise sheep and see if I can make them multiply and get pigs and feed them and chop wood, and it's fun.
Hey, to each his own.
I'm just saying, it just sounds like that would be boring to me, too.
Pursuit of happiness, Russ.
All right.
His happiness obviously involves sheep.
The logic's not working for me.
I get a game designer going, let's make a game modeled after factory. Let's make a game modeled after shipping. I get it.
Yeah.
What I don't get is how these two guys are like, I know, let's make a game about voting in articles of the Constitution. It's amazing to me that they figured it out and then made it really fun. So I love that about the game. It has just enough Euro choices to make. I didn't find them frustrating. They balance that perfectly well, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of choices to make, it also, believe it or not, stopped analysis paralysis. Because there's so many choices to make, you know that even if you make the best one for this hand, it's not going to matter the minute Craig goes, because he could do something that could totally flip everything on its end. And then Russ could end the round.
Yeah, so, that seems frustrating to me, but I don't know.
Just isn't, because you're not out of the game, because you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't get the yay vote, but I'm ahead on the debate track, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I think you can play. You got to play the hand you're sort of dealt. You don't have a lot of cards either, so you really have limited options.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's not a lot of analysis paralysis, and somehow they made it be that it's not boring. The card art, or I mean, overwhelming. The card art is really fun. The replayability to me is, I played 5 games, not one of them was the same. The replayability for me is through the roof. That literally my rating for this game is 2+ with a reroll. It is that good.
Wow.
Have you ever given a 2+ with a reroll before?
Once, but I don't remember what for.
Wow.
Was that good?
It was that good.
Good. Well,
I think it's because if it was just another farming game, I wouldn't give it that.
It's not a farming game.
All
right.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's not another farming
All right.
game.
Let me just rebut the farming thing. Okay. First of all, as a guy, this game's theme was like made for me. Because as a guy who loves politics and loves American history and reads big, fat books that most people find boring about American history.
Well, he listens to them.
And let me just say
listens to big, fat
both. Let me just say this also about politics. Politics, it makes sense to me making it about politics because people are passionate about politics. There are whole channels dedicated to politics all the time. People get crazy about them. There are not whole channels dedicated to farming.
There is on the BBC.
No, you can watch the one channel on the History Channel about giant combines harvesting corn.
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you how many times I was in London and the only thing I could find is like cow contests.
Okay, maybe
I guarantee you there's at least one.
Cow contests are not farming. I could see a game about the fair, the country fair before it's. Anyway,
I don't know.
Just saying, politics is clearly
I think it was
more fun than
called
farming.
BBC Bessie.
Farming's also getting a huge resurgence, especially with where our food stocks are coming from now. I mean, you're not interested in any of that whatsoever?
No.
That whole chicken and egg debacle?
What are you talking about, chicken and egg debacle?
The whole freaking eggs that were all contaminated by that huge mega egg factory. You didn't hear about that? See, that's what I find interesting. My ears perk up when I hear about that.
That's not farming. That's mass agriculture.
That's farming
not
at a
even
mass
agricultural.
level.
That's more like factory manager.
Yes, which is also dull. Anyway, back to
I don't want
politics.
to play a game about that. I want to play a pastoral game about, making eggs.
Anyway, back to this one. So the theme really appealed to me in general, and I really wanted to try the game. And I think what I was nervous about was that the mechanics would be very dull. I was more worried that the people who made the game
after the fact
would have been so passionate about the history they wouldn't have gotten mechanics in well.
Yeah.
And what's happened here is they've done a really, really great job of capturing the mechanics and the theme together really nicely.
Totally.
It really blends well. You really can't help but get into the theme. There's so much here to learn for both the history buff as well as the layman who just sort of has a passing interest in what happened. And even if you don't really care, it's a really interesting game mechanic, and you might learn something before you're done if you're not really careful. And I think again the rules are great. It's easy to learn. It's actually surprisingly easy to learn.
It seems that.
And I think it should absolutely be in every American history class. It's just the kind of game where you could play and your students would learn something.
Now, how are you going to get 25 people to play this game?
Well, it's the kind of thing where you could have it after class, or you could play with it before class, or you could have a couple copies. It should definitely be in a school thing. It's a really interesting game. I think
Should be in an after school.
or whatever,
Right.
or break it out and have different prizes for people who hit the best paper can play the game. Whatever.
I mean, it's that good. Russ is right, Craig. But I like the game so much that if one kid disparaged it, which they would do, I would hate that kid.
Right. Now, I'm going to definitely add this to my collection. It's not in there yet. It's actually probably the first game we reviewed that none of us actually own. I'm definitely going to add to my collection. But I have to pause on my rating because I'm trying to rate. I know Rafe rates games on how Rafe feels about them, and I try to rate them based on the general populace. And I think the theme, as much as I like the theme, I know that a lot of people won't care for the theme or have mixed feelings about the Founding Fathers or whatever. So I would say that I'm going to go with. I think based on mechanics, I'm going to give it a 3+. And
Modifiers?
I will modify that. If you are an American history fan, +1. So it's 2+ for those people.
Yep.
And if you are not, if you just don't like politics at all, and have no interest in politics and no interest in any of that,
I'm far more interested in eggs, for instance.
And would think that some kind of salmonella poisoning would be much more interesting, I would go with a -1 to the die roll. So you need a 4+.
So ranging from a 2+ to a 4+.
Depending on the gamer. But the average gamer on a 3+.
Okay.
I want to say one more thing before Craig jumps in.
Yes.
The thing about the history, you don't have to be a history scholar to enjoy this. You can come to this knowing nothing about American history and still enjoy it because it's told to you on the cards. It's not a bunch of inside jokes by a bunch of history buffs.
Right.
Gotcha.
So, Craig?
That it? Okay. Well, I haven't played it, obviously, and I've seen it played, so I've seen it creating fun, if you will.
Creating fun.
I don't know. I mean, I love American history.
Do you know any of our friends who've tried it who have not enjoyed it?
No, I do not. No, and that's coloring my impulse is like if I were to give it a Rafe rating, I would say probably I'm at a 5+ right now.
Right.
But as you say, none of our friends seem to have played it and not liked it. But we have a very cerebral group, I think, for the most part.
I think gamers in general.
Absolutely. Well, let's put that out there before we get emails. Gamers in general are a very cerebral group.
Craig Gallant at the D6Generation.com.
Yeah, send it to Craig Gallant at the D6Generation.com. Please send all your negative thoughts there. But I think that particular group where you're talking about Dave and you're talking about Joel and you're talking about
it's a fun group.
Brian. No. It's an awesomely fun group that's probably going to play any game they enjoy is going to look fun from the outside because you guys are all very exuberant. Right, and all of you guys are very intellectual gamers where you're looking at the game and you enjoy very cerebral games, I think, beyond the average.
You're a dud. Who did you play it with? Didn't you play with a bunch of duds?
No, I played it with similar crew as yours.
Go ahead, sorry.
Joel and David.
But yeah, so I would say, given that, I'm going to give it a 4+.
It's not for everyone.
I don't think it's for everyone. I think I think that if you want to go Euro game and you don't like the theme, that it's not going to like.
Well, if you don't like Euro games, you're not going to like it.
Right.
It's Euro.
Yes.
It's totally Euro.
Right. So right there, you've got a 4+ at most. So maybe even a 5+ with a reroll. But I'm going to stick with a 4+, based mainly on the fact that all of you who have played it have enjoyed it immensely.
Who doesn't like Euro games?
People.
There's people out there who don't.
People don't like Euro games.
People like people. So why should it be that you and I don't get along so famously?
I just like to know that Russ and I both like the game that, as described, is the most boring theme ever.
It's not a boring theme.
It's not.
I disagree.
A boring theme.
I totally disagree.
You should put your little counters on the debate track.
I'm going to. That's it. I'm debating for more political games. That's it.
Okay, that's all we got.
That's all I got.
All right. Good night. This edition of Did You Ever Notice is brought to you by Rick from Joondalup in Perth, Western Australia, who would like to give a warm, loving, and helpful shout-out to his son, Lockie. Get off the computer and come play a game with your dad. Love you, son. Hope I got the pronunciation of that right. Joondalup. Anyway, did you ever notice how sometimes you get more emotionally wrapped up in a game than after the fact you feel might have been entirely rational or appropriate? Have you ever maybe said something or done something that you shouldn't? Maybe you've thrown something. You know you're playing a game, you're just moving little metal or plastic men on a table maybe, or pieces around a board, but for some reason when things don't go your way, you sort of maybe lose it just a little bit. Well, when you have the luck that we all know I have, it would be a miracle if you hadn't lost it once or twice. In fact, Russ might tell you a story about a certain tape measure, but anyway, yeah, I've had my angry moments. When you know your dice can tell the difference between rolls to hit, which need to be high, and leadership tests, which need to be low, and manage to roll snake eyes or boxcars whenever they shouldn't. But they say if you're unlucky in dice, you'll be lucky in cards, right? Wrong! Whether it's Rune Wars or Battlestar Galactica, you guessed it. I'll be sure to not have the cards I need just the moment when I need them. It's so bad, in fact, that I really feel sorry for my friends who end up on my side in multiplayer games. No matter how good our strategies are, or the rolls and cards of the other players, I'll almost always be able to mess it up somehow. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe in bad luck, or that at least my luck couldn't be that bad, but you'll have to take my word for it. In fact, my father-in-law, who is a very practical man and who does not believe in luck at all, has finally come to the conclusion that if it's not luck that causes my issues in games, then there's definitely something going on that causes a massive mathematical irregularity field to form whenever I pick up a die or a card. So yeah, I've been angry. I'll admit it. In fact, there are a lot of times when I'm overcome with these little moments of anger. When I'm driving a lot, it happened just this morning, in fact. I was driving through a parking lot looking to get my morning cup of coffee, and I saw a spot right in front of the Dunkin' Donuts shop. I went up to pull in, and suddenly a giant SUV pulls through the space behind the one I was looking to pull into, only 5 feet away from me, and into the space I was going for, leaving the other space empty. I literally had to back my car up for him to complete his maneuver. A maneuver, I must say, which put him no closer to the coffee shop than he was a space behind, and, of course, by the time I backed up and drove around, that space was taken too. I was angry. Really angry. Why the heck did that guy have to pull through? I mean, I know it's easier to drive away when you get your coffee if your head out of the space, but when you see someone else was going for the space, how incredibly rude not just to back up and gasp, deal with having to back out of your space after having benefited from your morning coffee. But no, this guy pushed me right out of that space, avoiding eye contact, and I got really, really angry. I was idling there, staring at him, willing him to look up at me and meet my eyes, and my blood pressure was rising with every moment that he refused to do so. What happened next has a direct relation to what I would like to talk with you about tonight, and so let's go back 6 days for a moment to a seminar I was forced to attend on the rise in bullying in American schools today. I promise this will all come back around to gaming, and who knows, it might even help you or someone you know in a game someday. So there I was on Monday morning, yawning, giant cup of coffee in my hand because I went through a drive-thru, sitting in the back of a packed auditorium, ready to doze or maybe peruse the epic squat army list that I had secreted in my portfolio for the day. The guy started by saying how bullying is bad, and a new law that had just been passed in New Hampshire not only finally legally defined bullying, but outlined our required responses. I was ready to hear yet another unfunded mandate to the educator, as so often is the case today, another thing that we should be doing and that we should watch out for, and, we should be teaching them, like, potty training, and we should be teaching them mediation, and we should be teaching them manners, that kind of thing. Instead, I ended up being floored. The man giving the seminar was actually an expert in school shootings and had personally interviewed over 40 school killers, people who had killed other students and teachers, people just like us in that room all over the country. The seminar was fascinating, really, but the part that bears on what I want to discuss right now came towards the end. The presenter said he was going to offer us something that could possibly change our lives. Now, I am always pessimistic when self-help scenarios come along, those books that are supposed to help you through your own problems, or those moments of epiphany when people say, "Eureka, I figured out my problem. My life will be better now." Now, in my experience, those moments are very common in people's lives, but all the far more mundane moments that follow it will invariably drown that enlightenment in ennui, boredom, and pretty soon your problems are back again. So there I was, being told I was about to be offered a chance to change my life. We're still talking bullying and the psychology of mass murderers now, so obviously I was curious but skeptical. Well, he began by telling us about a very strange case from Harvard Medical School a few years ago. A woman was suffering from a rare form of brain cancer, and the part of the brain escapes me now. It's got a name, but it's a particular isolated lobe that had always proven impossible to remove without killing the patient. But this woman was desperate, and at Harvard Medical School, the researchers and doctors thought they could help her, and they did. The lobe of her brain was successfully removed, the cancer contained and eliminated, and her life was saved. But there was a very strange side effect after she had recovered from the operation. The woman found it impossible to articulate the meaning of the words fear or anger. In extension, she proved she was incapable of experiencing either emotion. I mean, she could memorize the definitions and whatnot, but she couldn't give personal examples. Nothing could scare her, and nothing could make her angry. Now, leaving aside that initially seems like it's a pretty cool situation to be in, aside from never being able to enjoy a good horror movie ever again, not that there are many of those out there nowadays, But hey, not feeling fear or anger could be very useful. But the key to the researchers was that the removal of a single cell segment of the brain caused this sudden blind spot in the woman's psychological makeup. The corollary, therefore, to them, was that this single part of the brain controlled, regulated, and experienced both fear and anger. And therefore, medically, fear and anger were inextricably linked in the human mind and psyche. Now, psychologists and psychiatrists have since extrapolated that anger is a direct result of fear. And that is what the presenter told us that day in the crowded auditorium. He told us that at no time does a human feel anger where fear is not the foundation in some way. Now, I'm not sure I entirely buy into the whole theory, but a lot of my questions are at least moderately appeased when you consider that there is a difference, both chemically and psychologically, between frustration and anger. And often when we think we're angry, we're probably frustrated. Although, again, to spin us deeper into the depths, of course, frustration can lead to fear, which, as we've now said, can lead to anger. And Yoda was way ahead of his time. So the presenter told us, when we are angry, take a moment to step back and do a quick inventory of our emotions and our situation. What is causing our anger? And inevitably, he said, you'll find that a lot of the things that make us angry on a daily basis are, when structured as fears, easier for us to dismiss and move on from. For instance, that guy this morning that took the parking space I was headed into despite the fact that he was already in a perfectly acceptable parking space himself. I was angry. But I took a pause at that moment when I was waiting for him to look up. And I almost never do that. And I thought, why am I angry? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid that I won't get my iced coffee and my bagel? Am I afraid that the other people in the parking lot will find me a weak man or a poor planner, that I had this spot stolen from me? Am I afraid that the guy in the big truck was in fact a better human being than I am and thus more deserving of the space because I hadn't fought for it? All of those thoughts are on the face of them ludicrous. And thus I was almost immediately able to dismiss that anger. It didn't matter that I didn't get that spot. I mean, that guy's a jerk and he always will be. But I just decided to drive another mile down the road. We got a lot of Dunkin' Donuts in this particular part of the country. And there was another Dunkin' Donuts with a drive-through, thereby also getting me that much farther in the audiobook version of Captain's Fury by Jim Butcher, which happens to be at a very good spot right now. Now, you can imagine what would happen if you're one of those people like me who can get a little hot under the collar at a gaming table. Take a step back and assess the situation. Is there really a reason for you to be afraid? For some gamers, I'm afraid that the answer is yes. They're afraid of loss of face. They're afraid of damage to their record or loss of a title. But for the vast majority of us who play games, who are there to have fun and spend time with people they like to hang out with, there's really very little to be afraid of. And that realization in the end could very well help you to laugh off those moments of irrational anger that flare up when you roll snake eyes or boxcars, or you don't pull that high card, or the skill or the ability that you think you need to win the game. As I said, I'm still skeptical of these aha moments, especially when I'm the one having them. But one thing I can tell you is that last weekend, if someone had taken a spot from me, I would have held that anger to me for a long time afterwards, and it would have colored the better part of the rest of my day. Instead, today I built some more epic buildings, I went on a great hike with my wife and son and our dogs, and I settled down tonight to whip up this little bit of wisdom for all of you, and all with a firmly placed, if slightly snide, smile on my face. The fear-anger connection. Look into it. It might just make your gaming experience a little bit more enjoyable. Well, that's about all I've got for now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@thed6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA Discussions Forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from Total Fangirl comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes.
Hey, do you know about the USA? Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution? Hey, learn about the USA. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles for keeping people free. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country, and so our people spelled it out, the things that we should be. And they put those principles down on paper and called it the Constitution. And it's been helping us run our country ever since then. The first part of the Constitution is called the Preamble and tells what those founding fathers set out to do. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers all sat down and wrote a list of principles that's known the world around. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country, and so our people spelled it out. They wanted a land of liberty, and the preamble goes like this. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.